Chapter 161. When Xiao Ziji shot and killed one of the assassins, the people of Drizzle Hall caught him in advance and successfully followed the other 5 assassins. We are professional assassins. If we let you rookies escape under our noses, how can we face the Sect Master and Hall Master? The next day, Jun Changxiao's spiritual energy and physical strength recovered quite well. He woke up early and stood outside the cave to breathe in the fresh air and do some stretching exercises. There is no pollution, there is spiritual energy. He sighed. Those who live here, even if they are ordinary people, have a lifespan of around 200 to 300 years. Humans in a high-level martial arts world would condense spiritual energy after opening their meridians, and their lifespan would increase. Sect Master Jun worked hard to complete the main mission because he didn't want to die young. After all, 100 years here was barely 30 years on Earth. Shua shua. Li Qingyang walked out of the forest and took out the mark left by the people of Drizzle Hall. Sect Master, they already have their eyes on them. Jun Changxiao said indifferently, I want to see how you guys can hide and seek. Return to the sect. Yes. After a night of rest, everyone continued on their way. When they reached a certain intersection in Qingyang City, City Lord Xia and the Li family head bid farewell and left. Jun Changxiao was very grateful that they came to support him. Before leaving, he generously gave each of them a body sculpting pill. It can increase the strength of the body. Could it be the body sculpting pill sold by the AI family head? My God, how close is Sect Master Jun and the AI family? That's why he got the pill that hasn't been auctioned yet. The family heads who were walking back to the city were shocked. Everyone. Xie Guanquan stopped and said in a low voice. Please don't forget that Sect Master Jun gave you the pill. The family heads were all experienced and understood what he meant. They hurriedly said, City Lord, don't worry. Only you, I, and the heavens will know about this. Sect Master, Senior Brother and the others are back. The quiet iron bone was instantly broken by Sima Zhongda's shout. When Jun Changxiao brought 8 people through the sect protecting array and entered the sect, the disciples stopped cultivating and surrounded them to ask about the battle. Beat them 7-0. Oh my God, this is too awesome. Mighty sect leader, mighty senior brother. On the martial arts practice field, the Iron Bone disciples cheered excitedly. Do. Jun Changxiao was in a good mood as he said, let's cook a few dozen dishes tonight and prepare some good wine to celebrate. Prestige, money, and contribution points. This trip to the Haoqi sect was a great harvest, how could he not drink to his heart's content with the disciples? Yes. Lu Wanshi didn't even bother to cultivate. She brought Ma Yongming, Blackie, and Blackie to the cafeteria to prepare the ingredients for the banquet tonight. In the study, Jun Changxiao had just sat down, and before he could even take a sip of tea, Li Luoqiu, who was wearing a sexy school uniform, walked in. She smiled and said, Sect leader, you're really amazing. She had received news early in the morning that her disciples had won all 7 battles and that the sect leader had chopped Qin Haoran to the ground with a saber. At that time, Li Luoqiu's first reaction was a bit confused. Although she didn't want Jun Changxiao to go and cause trouble and end up in failure, a 6th-rate sect was not to be trifled with. Since he had gone, he should have lost at least 2 or 3 battles. In the end, it was a 7-0 victory. If she didn't have absolute trust in her subordinates, Hall Master Li would have suspected that the information was wrong. Jun Changxiao took a sip of tea and put down the cup. He crossed his legs and said, My Iron Bone will eventually become the strongest sect. This is just a normal operation. His acting was natural and flawless. Li Luoqiu sat down and smiled. It seems that I made a very wise choice to rely on the sect leader. From sect leader Jun's point of view, this woman was looking at him from the side, so he hurriedly looked away and said, Is there any movement from the Xiao family? There is. When it came to business, Li Luoqiu's charming face was replaced with seriousness. She said, on the day sect leader went to the Haoqi sect, the Shao family's great elder disappeared. Disappeared? Jun Changshao was stunned. Li Luoqiu said, the Shao family's great elder has a habit. Every morning, he will go to the Qingya residence to drink tea, but after going in that day, he never came out. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, have you investigated the Qingya residence? Yes, Li Luoqiu said, it is one of the Shao family's properties. It is difficult for martial artists without status to enter. Jun Changshao said, what do you think? Recently, I have sent people to investigate the Shao family's training base, but there has been no news. Li Luoqiu paused for a moment and said, this Qingya residence may be a secret base. Jun Changshao agreed. It is possible. Li Luoqiu said, I have sent people to keep an eye on it. What does sect leader plan to do? Wait. Wait for what? Wait for news from Little B and the others. Little B was the leader of the 10 gold-ranked assassins last night. He was once one of the 4 ace assassins in the Drizzle building, second only to Scorpion and Lynx. After Jun Changshao learned of his nickname, he even shouted to him, 2 little bees, flying among the flowers. Li Luoqiu said, it seems that sect leader has been targeted by assassins this time. Jun Changshao drank a mouthful of tea and said with hatred, don't let me find out who it is, or I will kill him. Being targeted by assassins all the time, no matter how good his temper was, he could not stand it. As long as Little B and the others could touch the melon, they would definitely cut it down and taste whether it was sweet or not. Night came. The dining hall was brightly lit. Every table was filled with food and wine. Jun Changshao raised his bowl and said, to this triumphant return, cheers. Sect leader is mighty. All the disciples raised their bowls and drank to their heart's content. Elder Wei also came. He sat alone in a corner and lightly sipped his wine. Looking at the group of youngsters, his turbid eyes were filled with reminiscence. Weizi, I want to build a sect. Do you want to work with me? Ha ha ha, we finally found a mountain. Let's start our sect here. Weizi, from today onwards, I am the sect leader, and you are the vice sect leader. Let's work together and do something big. The memories that had been sealed for a long time appeared in his mind. It made Elder Wei feel like he had returned to the age when he was around the same age as these children. Time was like a flying knife, and each knife made him old, Grandpa Wei. Lu Wancher had unknowingly sat in front of him. She held her cheeks with both hands and blinked. Why are you crying? Elder Wei smiled. It's a bit spicy. Lu Wancher pouted. Grandpa Wei, the food you ate was specially made by Du. There was no chili at all. Ah. Elder Wei raised his bowl and said, it's the wine is spicy. Lu Wancher frowned and advised, Grandpa Wei, you are old and should drink less. If you leave, pfff. Elder Wei spat out his wine and almost stomped his feet to leave. Children's words carry no harm, children's words carry no harm. Iron-bone disciples usually cultivated very hard. It was rare for them to indulge themselves today. They had a drinking competition with their fellow sect members in the canteen. Jun Changshao was holding a bowl of wine, his feet on a stool as he watched them play with great pleasure. Sect leader. Li Luoqiu walked over and whispered, Little B has news. So fast. Jun Changshao used his spirit energy to dispel the drunkenness and came to the study. Li Luoqiu reported the news. Little B and the rest of the 5 assassins in the wild entered Liang City. They dressed up as servants and entered Qingya residence. Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and rested his chin on them. He sneered. So, Qingya residence is the Shao family's assassin base. They are also the ones who ambushed outside Liang City. Damn it. They are really playing mind games with me. If I didn't subdue Drizzle building, I wouldn't even know where they are if I were to die. Hall Master Li, listen to my orders. Shua. Li Luoqiu took 2 steps back and waited for the order. Jun Changxiao's eyes were cold. Tomorrow night, destroy Qingya residence. Leave no one alive. Understood. Let Zui Ji follow. This. Li Luoqiu said, after all, he is a member of the Shao family. It is a bit inappropriate to let him go. Jun Changxiao said, do you think the Shao family assassins want to assassinate me? Li Luoqiu was silent for a moment. I understand. The Shao family is targeting Shao Ziji. How much hatred do they have that they won't let go of their own people? Gotcha. Jun Changxiao clenched his fist and the teacup shattered. They dare to touch my iron bone disciples. Not to mention Qingya residence, I will even dare to destroy the Shao family. The coldness was oppressive and murderous. Night fell in Liang City. The waiter in Qingya residence was busy closing the door. But just as he was about to close the door, a graceful lady blocked the door with her hand and smiled. Little brother, is this Qingya residence? This lady was beautiful and had a hot body. Any man who saw her couldn't help but take a few more glances. But the waiter was slightly stunned. He said coldly, sorry, we are closed. You don't want to do business? The lady smiled. The waiter said, my humble shop is closed. If you want to drink tea, come back tomorrow. The lady didn't leave. She blinked and smiled. Little brother, the business I am talking about is not drinking tea, but taking a life. Taking a life? The waiter's eyes turned cold. Pucci, a cold light flashed and mercilessly cut his neck. Li Luoqiu, who was holding the lancet knife, walked into the shop valiantly. Dozens of her subordinates in the dark followed and disposed of the corpse. Then, they closed the door of Qingya residence. It was a moonless and windy night. Murder and arson. Chapter 162. Thoughts on publishing. The text has nothing to do with the plot, study room, bathroom. Sect Master, bad news. Li Qingyang pushed the door open and said, the strongest sect of all ages will be published tomorrow at 12:30. Jun Changxiao, who was wearing a mask and taking a bubble bath, opened his eyes slightly and said, what's the big deal? Li Qingyang collapsed, publishing means spending money, there will definitely be a lot of readers who want to leave. Jun Changxiao fiddled with the mask and said, treat it normally. That. Li Qingyang said weakly, Sect Master, can you put down the knife first? Voila. Jun Changxiao stood up from the bathtub, pointed the knife at the screen and roared, you want to leave? Do you believe that I will kill you right now? Sect Master, calm down, calm down. Li Qingyang hurriedly dissuaded and used a bath towel to cover the indescribable part to prevent it from appearing in the camera. Who? Jun Changxiao threw away the knife, put on the Sect Master uniform, tied up his black hair, and said, publish it tomorrow. Gather all the disciples. Firstly, thank the readers who continue to support Iron Bone, and secondly, send off the readers who are about to abandon the book. Yes. Cafeteria hall. It was full of ribbons and balloons, and the dining tables were put together to leave enough space in front, making it look like a party. The first to enter was the female representative. Li Luoqiu walked into the cafeteria, took out the Desert Eagle from her waist, and pretended to shoot at the camera. She smiled sweetly and said, is it accurate? Lu Qianqian walked in. She did not look at the camera, and her face was still as cold as ever. Ling Yuanxue shrank her head and walked over, trying to look at the camera. Her eyes avoided looking at the camera and said, can you stay? Lu Wancher jumped into the camera and made a face. She giggled and said, big brother, big sister, if you stay, I will take care of your meals. If you want to leave, I have already prepared a farewell meal. Jun Changxiao pushed her out of the camera with one hand, adjusted his collar, and leaned his whole face in front of the camera. The song, Two Springs Reflect the Moon, began to play. Sect leader Jun brewed his emotions for a while, and with tears in his eyes, he looked at the camera and said, "The strongest sect of all ages will be published at 12:30 tomorrow. If you don't support me, the author won't be able to make me more handsome. Can you do me the honor of subscribing?" As he spoke, he suddenly waved the camera with a ferocious expression and said, "Follow him, follow him. The sect leader has gone mad. Quick, drag him away." "No, I'm not crazy. I'm very sober. Feed the sect leader the medicine." "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Jun Changshao was dragged away by Li Qingyang and Xiao Ziji. His eyes were still wide open as he roared at the screen, "They are crazy. Someone wants to harm me. Protect me. Protect me. I'm sorry." Su Xiaomao appeared in the camera. He cupped his hands and said, "Sect leader didn't take his medicine on time. Sorry for scaring everyone." Shua. A golden right foot blocked the camera. Li Fei said, "If you want to leave, I don't mind." Tian Qi pushed him away and said, "Hurry and feed the sect leader the medicine." Outside the camera, sect leader Jun's roar could still be heard. "I'm not crazy. I'm not taking any medicine." Yi Xingchen walked in and stopped in front of the camera. He raised his hand and pointed at the camera. He said coldly, "Vulgar mortal, stay." After tying up the sect leader, Xiao Ziji came in front of the camera and said seriously, "Whether a book is worth the money or not, it's not up to the author or the sect leader to decide. It's up to you." "That's right." Li Qingyang smiled and said, "The story has just begun. We don't want everyone to leave." Zhou Hong appeared in front of the camera. He had one hand on his sword. "Don't let him draw his sword." Jun Changshao said in shock, "Otherwise, the streaming camera I spent so much effort to buy will be cut down." Long Xiang and Li Yuhua hurriedly pulled this sword cultivator genius away. Li Tian, Sima Zhongda, and the other new disciples, as well as the sect's imperial herbalist, Elder Wei, all walked into the cafeteria. The cafeteria accommodated more than 200 disciples with dreams. Jun Changshao, who had taken the medicine, was untied. He said, "It's been 2 months since the release of the strongest sect of all time. Thank you for your company during the summer vacation. Thank you for your recommendation tickets. Thank you for your support. For the readers who abandoned the book, let's eat this farewell meal together." Schwa. Schwa. The table was filled with delicacies. The disciples ate happily. For the readers who stayed, let's drink this bowl of 1982 Sprite together. Gulp, gulp. After the meal, Jun Changshao brought the disciples to the martial arts practice field. Then, he gave the camera one by one. Except for a few who were cold and aloof, most of them smiled and waved at the camera. "Take a group photo as a memento." The disciples lined up, forming a few rows below and a few rows above. Jun Changshao sat on the 1,000-year-old Phoebe chair in the middle. He pointed at the camera and said, "This Jianghu is more exciting with your company. 1, 2, 3. Eggplant. Pa." A family photo of the Iron Bone disciples in the early stage appeared. When they were unhappy, they thought about the happy story. The camera moved up, and the magnificent hall gradually showed the words, "Iron Bone," in gold. Then, it turned to the door, and the plaque hanging above had the words, "Gay Iron Bone Clan," written on it. Suddenly, on the martial arts practice field, a man wearing a cloak came with a shovel. He gently raised his head, tilted his head, pointed at the camera with his index finger, and said in a cold tone, "Brother, are you leaving?" Jun Changshao almost fell from his chair. He said in surprise, "Sect. Sect leader Wang." With this chapter, I would like to thank the readers who supported this book but had to leave because of their financial ability. I would also like to thank the readers who voted, donated, and continued to support. The strongest sect of all time is more exciting with you around. Chapter 163. Xiao Ziji came to this operation, but he did not enter the elegant residence. He stood on a tree branch with a heavy heart, holding the Type 88 sniper rifle. Opposite was the family property. In the past, when he was still in his glory, he often came here to drink tea and was surrounded by a group of flattering cousins. However, who would have thought that it would be an assassin's stronghold? Who would have thought that one of the groups of assassins that appeared one after another would be from the Xiao family? In the Iron Bone, Xiao Ziji, who was full of confidence and hope for the future, was once again hit hard in his heart. Banished me. Why do you still want to kill me? Why? Why is this? Xiao Ziji's left hand tightly held the cold Type 88 sniper rifle. That kind of sadness and anger filled his heart. Jun Changxiao also came. He sat on a tree branch next to him. Seeing his disciple's arm trembling, he said, "Sinful self, from the day you were banished, you were destined to be trash in the eyes of the Xiao family." Sect leader, why? Xiao Ziji's voice was hoarse. It was obviously difficult to control his emotions. Jun Changxiao said, "Because they can't accept that a trash that was banished will rise again. This will make them feel that their previous actions were extremely stupid. In order to not let themselves be stupid, only by erasing you can continue to be stupid in the dream." Jun Changxiao's analysis was spot on. After Xiao Ziji won the Great Intersect Tournament, the Xiao family could not accept it. They could not allow the trash that was banished to become strong again. Since he had been labeled as trash, he could either continue to be trash like an ant or die. Sinful self. Jun Changxiao said, "You have to learn to accept reality and make yourself stronger in setbacks." Who? Xiao Ziji took a deep breath. His state of mind gradually calmed down. Also remember. Jun Changxiao said in a deep voice, "True family is not the so-called blood, but the ones who are good to you, the ones who care about you. Those who want to harm you can only be enemies." He would not let his disciples become cold-blooded and heartless killers, nor would he instill the idea of a Virgin Mary that others wanted to kill you and had to be reformed. What's more, the Xiao family didn't care about blood ties. If he had the intention to kill Xiao Ziji and wanted to use love to influence him, then he would be a fucking retard. Of course. It was not impossible to influence him, but he could not use love. He had to use his fists. If he could reform them until they were comfortable and cried for their parents, then there would be nothing wrong with it. Xiao Ziji's gaze was cold as he said, "Sect leader, I understand. They banished me and wanted to take my life. Even if we share the same bloodline, we are enemies and not family." Elegant residence. Li Luoqiu brought her people in. An assassin disguised as a servant walked in from the inner courtyard and said, "Jiu Zi, close the door, Shua." Viper appeared behind him and covered his mouth with one hand. The dagger cleanly slit his neck. Li Luoqiu waved her hand, and Mountain Cat and the other members sneaked into the inner courtyard. Then, they sealed off all possible escape routes. The leader of Drizzle Building personally brought people here. She was definitely a professional. Hall leader. Viper lowered his voice and said, "There's nothing special about the inner courtyard." Li Luoqiu sat on the table and drank a mouthful of tea. "There should be a secret room. Search carefully." "Yes." Viper brought her subordinates and quietly searched under the night sky. There was a secret room under the elegant residence. It was very spacious. There was a hall, a training room, and many weapons and hidden weapons hung on the walls. It could be said to be very professional. "Big brother, Iron Bone's God-powered gun is too powerful. If we are discovered, it will be hard to escape." A bearded man sat in the meeting room and said. He was one of the 5 assassins targeted by Littleby in the wild. He was also one of the leaders of the elegant residence. The one who called him Big Brother was a thin middle-aged man with triangular eyes and a mustache. He was wearing a butler's uniform. His eyes flashed with coldness. One look and you could tell that he was not a good person. If Xiao Ziji was here, he would definitely recognize that this was the Xiao family's external affairs butler, Xiao Shanhai, the great elder's right-hand man. He was secretly responsible for training the assassins in the residence. He was also the one who assigned the assassination missions to the higher-ups. I didn't expect an 8th-rate sect to be able to deal a heavy blow to the Haoqi sect. This is unbelievable. Xiao Shanhai touched his mustache. Yeah. The bearded man said, everyone thought that Iron Bone would be brutally beaten up by the Haoqi sect. But in the end, they defeated the Haoqi sect by 7-0. Alliance Master Qin was even injured. At this moment, he was secretly glad that he retreated in time the night before. Otherwise, if he was discovered by Iron Bone, it would not be just one assassin who would die. Great Elder's orders. Xiao Shanhai said in a low voice, Iron Bone is a little tricky. Cancel all assassination plans. No one is allowed to go out. Understood. The bearded man said. Xiao Shanhai tapped his finger on the table and said, actually, I feel that we don't have to do it ourselves. We can just ask the Drizzle building to assassinate that trash. Big Brother, the Spirit Spring Mountain hired assassins from the Drizzle building, but they still couldn't do anything to Iron Bone. The bearded man said. Humph, Xiao Shanhai said in disdain, the Wei brothers underestimated the enemy too much. They are too stupid. If we want to ask, we will ask the ace assassins from the Drizzle building. It will be absolutely foolproof. Hearing the words ace assassins, the bearded man's eyes were filled with admiration. The ace assassins of the Drizzle building were known as the elites of the elites. Although he was secretly trained by the Xiao family, he was still an assassin. He was in awe of the elites in the same field. He also hoped to reach their level. It's decided then. Xiao Shanhai said, I will go back and talk to the Great Elder. If he agrees, you will follow me to the Drizzle building's headquarters tomorrow. No need. Suddenly, a sound came from the stairs leading up. Li Luoqiu led Viper and the rest down. She smiled and said, I have come personally. Shwa shwa shwa. Someone suddenly entered the basement. The Xiao family assassins in the room quickly rushed out with hidden weapons in their hands. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. TSK, Viper snorted in disdain. This posture of preparing to throw hidden weapons was not good enough. Xiao Shanhai squinted his eyes and looked at her. He said in surprise, you are, the Drizzle building's master. What? Drizzle building's master? The 20 assassins were stunned. The great elder of the Xiao family bought a set of training methods from the Drizzle building's master. They became assassins because of this. Thinking about it carefully, they could call her master now. After knowing the identity of the person who came, the 20 assassins immediately relaxed. To be exact, they did not dare to act rashly in front of the master of assassins. Li Luoqiu walked into the hall. She put one hand on the table and smiled, if I remember correctly, you should be the external affairs manager of the Xiao family. That's right. Xiao Shanhai stood up and cupped his hands politely, I am Xiao Shanhai. I went to your building with the great elder in the past. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, Manager Xiao, I would like to correct what you just said. Correct? Xiao Shanhai was confused. Li Luoqiu took out the desert eagle and spun it around her fingers. She smiled and said, my current identity is not the Drizzle building's master, but the Iron Bone Upright Sect's hall master. Xiao Shanhai was stunned. The bearded man's reaction was very fast. The hidden weapons in his sleeves immediately fell. However, before he could move, Li Luoqiu raised her hand. The desert eagle stopped spinning and aimed at him. With a bang, it directly shot through his head. Master of Assassins, clean and efficient. P.S. Let me try first, can I post a VIP chapter? Chapter 164. Plop. The bearded man fell to the ground. Blood splashed on Xiao Shanhai's face, scaring him so much that he almost fell to the ground. A chill ran down his spine from the soles of his feet. The assassin leader that he had carefully trained was instantly killed with a bang. Boss. Seeing that the bearded man was killed, the assassins were furious. They were about to throw the hidden weapons in their hands, swoosh swoosh swoosh. Viper and the others were faster than them. All kinds of darts and hidden weapons were thrown. Plop. Plop. In an instant, more than 20 assassins from the Shao clan fell to the ground. Before they died, they didn't forget to sigh in their hearts. He is indeed an expert. Seeing that all his subordinates were killed, Xiao Shanhai's eyes were filled with fear. His legs were trembling violently because the desert eagle was already on his head. Manager Xiao. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, of all the people you could provoke, you had to provoke my iron bone. Don't kill me. Xiao Shanhai's voice was trembling. His eyes were filled with the greatest fear of death. No one wanted to die. How good would it be to live? Li Luoqiu moved her gun down and said expressionlessly, Sect Master said that this assassin base of the Shao clan will not be left alive. So, go on your way, bang. The bullet pierced through his chest. Blood splattered on the wall. Plop. The Shao clan's external affairs chief fell straight down. At the moment of his death, he was still wondering how an organization like the Drizzle Building became Iron Bone's people. How did the Drizzle Building's leader become the Hall Master? Since he couldn't figure it out, he could only go to the underworld to figure it out. The assassin base of the Shao clan that used the elegant residence as a cover was completely eradicated by Li Luoqiu's swift and decisive methods. Because it was in the basement, the ceiling effect was excellent. The martial artists in the city wouldn't even dream that dozens of people would die in the elegant residence tonight. To be honest, the assassins of the Shao clan were too amateur. If it wasn't for the Sect Master's death order that they must be eradicated, the Drizzle Hall wouldn't have sent so many members. Shwa! Shwa! Li Luoqiu led her subordinates and jumped out from the backyard. She landed on a tree and said, the Shao clan's external affairs chief is in charge of the assassin base. Xiao Shanhai. Xiao Ziji's gaze turned cold. Jun Changxiao said, you know him? Xiao Ziji gritted his teeth and said, when my aptitude regressed, he humiliated and made things difficult for me in the family. Jun Changxiao said, bring that guy over here. Since he dared to bully my disciple, I must torture him and make him wish he was dead. Li Luoqiu said, I shot him dead. Dead? Jun Changxiao shook his head and said, he got off easy. Li Luoqiu asked, what should we do next? Jun Changxiao rubbed his chin and said, take all the corpses away and set fire to the elegant residence. Carrying away the corpses and burning down the elegant residence was to make the Shao clan uneasy. Understood. Li Luoqiu was about to give the order. Jun Changxiao stopped him and said, Zui Ji, this fire will be set by you. Burning it is equivalent to burning all ties with the Shao clan. N. Xiao Ziji nodded and jumped down. Li Luoqiu ordered the members to take away Xiao Shanhai and the dozens of assassins' corpses and quickly disappeared into the night. It could be said that they came in a hurry and left in a hurry. Ho! Xiao Ziji stood in front of the elegant residence with a torch in his hand. The light from the torch shone on his expressionless face. Shao clan. Today, I, Xiao Ziji, will sever all ties with you. Shwa. The torch was thrown into the elegant residence. The flames burned the counters and furniture, instantly forming an unstoppable fire. Jun Changxiao stood on the city wall and looked at the rising fire. He looked at the disciples who left and said, Zue Ji, you only have one identity now. You are a disciple of the Iron Bone clan. There's a fire. The elegant residence is on fire. The fire that dyed half of the city red startled the martial artists who were sleeping soundly in the surroundings. They all rushed out of their rooms. After the Shao clan received the news, they immediately sent a large number of direct disciples to put out the fire. Unfortunately, no matter how much water was splashed, it couldn't extinguish the powerful flames. After dawn, the elegant residence was turned into ruins. Damn it! The first elder of the Shao clan, who was standing in the charred ruins, said angrily, "Who did this? There were so many assassins in the basement. It was impossible for a fire to happen for no reason. Someone must have done it on purpose." First elder. The second elder walked over and said softly, "There are bloodstains in the secret room. Our people are gone." The first elder of the Shao clan clenched his fists tightly. At this moment, he could guess that since the tea house was burned in Shao Shanhai and the assassins that he had painstakingly trained disappeared, they must be dead. Who did it? Who did it? The first elder of the Shao clan could only roar in his heart. He didn't dare to show too much anger on his face because the elegant residence was just a property in the eyes of outsiders. The news of the elegant residence being burned to ashes in the fire instantly spread in Liang City and became a hot topic. No one would believe that it was an accident. It must have been done on purpose. Therefore, after in-depth discussion, the conclusion was that the Shao clan had offended someone. Who did they offend? This wasn't easy to guess. After all, no one had seen the culprit. Shao clan, main hall. Several elders gathered together. Their faces were filled with anger, anxiety, and confusion. It could be said that it was quite colorful. They had spent a lot of money to buy the assassin training method from the Drizzle building. After a few years of training, they had gradually formed a large scale. In the end, it was gone. This was definitely a heavy blow. What was more tragic was that they still didn't know who did it. Pa! The second elder slammed the table angrily and said, "First elder, this matter must be investigated thoroughly." The third elder said, "We don't know who did it. How can we investigate?" The fourth elder said cautiously, "The other party dared to burn down the elegant residence. They might not be afraid of our Shao clan." This sentence calmed the angry elders down instantly. The fifth elder said with a serious expression, "The person who did it dared to burn down the elegant residence and didn't leave a corpse behind. They definitely didn't come with good intentions." The first elder, who had been silent all this time, said, "Could it be Iron Bone?" He thought for a long time but couldn't think of who the Shao clan had offended recently. He could only guess that the assassination of Shao Ziji had been discovered by Iron Bone. The second elder said, "Iron Bone's sect leader just came back from challenging the Haoqi sect. Did he have the time to do it?" The first elder fell into deep thought. To be honest, he hoped that it wasn't Iron Bone. This eighth-rate sect was really not simple to defeat the Haoqi sect. The first elder said, "We will discuss this matter again after the clan leader comes out of seclusion." Okay. All the elders nodded. However, they didn't know that Jun Changshao, who had returned to Iron Bone, was still carrying out the second step of his plan. Destroying the elegant residence was just the beginning. Sect leader Jun had to use different methods to take revenge on the Shao clan. After thinking for a while, he said, "Luo Qiu, investigate all the properties of the Shao clan in Qingyang County in the shortest time possible." Li Luoqiu said, "What does sect leader want to do?" Jun Changshao sneered, "A clan's biggest lifeline is its properties. Only economic sanctions can give them a fatal blow." Understood. Li Luoqiu said. "And that Shao clan's first elder?" Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Keep a close eye on him. Shao Shanhai was only the chief of external affairs. This so-called first elder was definitely the real mastermind. If all his lackeys were dead, how could he live? Chapter 165. Jun Changshao wouldn't destroy the Shao family. After all, they were a family in Liang City and there was no evidence to prove that they had tried to assassinate him. However, he could use other methods to take revenge. The members of the Drizzle Hall were very efficient. In just 2 days, they brought back a lot of information. The Shao family has a lot of businesses. Li Luoqiu reported, their main business is iron ore, pills, and herbs. They have branches in 8 cities in Azure Sun County. Pills and herbs. Jun Changshao asked, can they be compared to the AI family? Li Luoqiu shook her head, the Shao family is a martial arts family. They can't be compared to the AI family in terms of business. According to the information, most of the Shao family's pills and herbs are provided by the AI family. Is that so? Jun Changxiao's lips curled into a smile. This was a good piece of information that could be used to make trouble. What about the iron ore? There's a mine 300 miles away from Liang City. It was discovered and mined by the Shao family. The iron ore comes from there. Jun Changshao rested his chin on the back of his hand and said, say, if the mine suddenly catches fire, floods, or accidentally collapses, will the Shao family suffer a loss? Li Luoqiu said, not only will it, but it will also be a huge loss. The Shao family's iron ore supplied 60% of the entire Azure Sun County's market. If it was gone, it would be a huge loss. Bring some people to the mine and create an accident, Jun Changshao said. Okay, Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changshao asked, there are miners in the mine, right? Yes. People from the Shao family. These kinds of laborers are usually hired from the neighboring villages. Jun Changshao said, when you take action, drive them out. Every injustice had its perpetrator and every debt its debtor. The Shao family had sent people to assassinate him time and time again. Naturally, he had to play with them until the end. However, he would never harm the innocent. This was the bottom line that he could uphold after adapting to the cruelty of the falling star continent. Understood. Li Luoqiu walked out of the study and shook her head, the sect master's revenge methods are quite fancy. Shao family, you've provoked a devil. I'm afraid you'll suffer even more than the Grand Spirit sect leader. Li Qingyang walked in and placed the sketch on the desk. This is the sketch I designed. What do you think? After returning to the iron bone, he began to cultivate while focusing on his modifications. Keep it for now. Jun Changshao said, when there are more disciples, we can carry out the modifications. Although he wasn't short of money, it wasn't a good idea to renovate it all the time. He should wait until there were more people. Li Qingyang kept the sketch and said, this is something that I designed on the spot. Since sect leader is not in a hurry, I will go back and design it in detail. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, if you don't practice martial arts, you can be a civil engineer. Civil engineer? Li Qingyang was puzzled. Sect leader, what kind of deputy position is this? Jun Changshao didn't explain to him and said, I have some matters to attend to in Huyang City, so I'll leave the sect to you. Yes. Our great genius Li was already used to it. Before leaving, Jun Changshao spent 20 contribution points to buy 2 basic cold-edged swords and gave them to Yixingchen and Li Fei as a reward for Hao Qi Sect's victory. Then, they set off for Liang City. Since he knew that the Shao clan's main business was pills and herbs, he would feel uncomfortable if he didn't do something. I finally have a sword. Yixingchen held the basic cold-edged sword. After feeling the chill and sharpness, he said with satisfaction, the quality of this sword should be middle grade. I can make do with it for now. Even a martial artist might not have a middle grade weapon. Knight Emperor only used make do to describe it. If others heard this, they would definitely beat him up. Phew. Walking to the small practice field in the inner courtyard, Yi Xingqian let out a long breath. He put one hand on the sword hilt and stared straight ahead. Zhou Hong looked over and whispered, "Senior brother Yi also knows swords." Clang, suddenly, the cold-edged sword was unsheathed. Sword shadows spread out and intertwined into more than 10. Zhou Hong said, 10 swords in one breath. Not bad. Clang. Yi Xingqian sheathed his sword and formed the sword again. He silently recited the single-word fast technique. Still want to try? Zhou Hong thought. Clang. Yi Xingqian unsheathed his sword again. Clang. The sword was sheathed. Seeing the sword shadows disappear like fireworks, Zhou Hong exclaimed, 24 swords in one breath. No. No. This was definitely not his own sword intent. It was definitely some kind of sword technique. Zhou Hong hurriedly said, "Senior brother Yi, you used a sword technique just now." "Yes." Yi Xingqian said. Zhou Hong exclaimed, "What kind of sword technique is this? It can make senior brother Yi use 10 swords in one breath to 24 swords." Yi Xingqian said calmly, "The divine sword technique. The sect leader gave it to me." The sect leader gave it to him. Could it be the sect's sword technique? Zhou Hong, who was always calm and introverted, was a little excited. He went to find the sect leader without practicing his sword. When he found out that the sect leader went to Huyang City, he sat in the courtyard and waited. He was really a sword fanatic. Every time Jun Changshao went down the mountain and entered a city, he had a different feeling. This time, when he came to Huyang City, he felt even more obvious. When he entered, the passers-by looked at him with admiration. Why? Because the incident of Haoqi's sect being destroyed had already spread throughout Azure Sun County. It caused a huge commotion and was definitely on the level of an earthquake. Take Liang City for example. The Shao clan offended someone and the Qinye residence was burned down. It was only for a short while before it was suppressed by the Ironbone sect. The most famous sect in Azure Sun County? The Ironbone sect. The most famous person in Azure Sun County? Jun Changshao. From Earth's perspective, sect leader Jun was definitely an internet celebrity. No. He was a top celebrity. If there was a social media platform in Falling Star Continent, he could attract countless fans just in Azure Sun County. Wow! Sect leader Jun is so handsome. On the way to the medicine store, the young girls saw the handsome Jun Changshao and immediately lowered their heads shyly. Their hearts were beating wildly and they almost screamed on the spot. Sect leader Jun, a young girl who was more bold and unrestrained, suddenly rushed over and handed over a bouquet of flowers. Her small face was red with shyness as she said, "Please, please accept it." Jun Changshao took the flowers and gave her a side attack. He smiled gently and said, "Thank you." "Ah. I can't take it anymore." The young girl in the distance saw this and her eyelids rolled back. She fainted on the spot. The young girl who delivered the flowers covered her burning face and ran away shyly. She was afraid that if she got too close to him, she wouldn't be able to control herself and faint. Sect leader Jun, this is my flower. Sect leader Jun, I have one too. Sect leader Jun, can you sign an autograph for me? Sect leader Jun, can I hug you? A group of beautiful young girls surrounded Jun Mo in an instant, and presented him with fresh flowers. The scene was spectacular. Ahaha, ahahaha. In the inner gate of Huyang City, Jun Changshao was squatting in a corner of the tunnel. He was grinning foolishly and his saliva was almost flowing out. The cultivators passing by looked over and whispered. "What's wrong with sect leader Jun? He's been squatting there since he came in. I think he's thinking about something happy. No matter how happy he is, he doesn't need to smile so wretchedly." Chapter 166. Master AI, who was in a meeting with the AI family, knew that Sect Master June had come to the medicine shop. He put down his stall and hurried over. When he entered, he didn't see anyone. He cupped his hands and smiled. What wind blew Sect Master June here? Northwest wind. June Changshao said lightly. Ai Shang heard his tone and immediately judged that he was a little unhappy. He immediately became nervous. Could it be that there was an ignorant junior in the AI family who offended Sect Master June? In Master AI's eyes, June Changshao was the god of wealth. The future of the AI family depended on the healing pills and body-shaping pills. Naturally, he didn't dare to offend him. He carefully walked into the living room and said, Sect Master June seems a little troubled. Sigh. June Changshao sighed. Don't mention it. Ai Shang sighed in relief. Don't mention it. These 3 words meant that the matter that made him unhappy had nothing to do with the AI family. Sect Master June, we are old friends. Master AI sat down and said, if you have any troubles, you can tell me. Maybe I can help you. June Changshao said, Master AI, you should have heard of the Shao family in Liang City, right? Could it be that, the Shao family offended Sect Master June? As expected of a businessman, he was able to guess the crux of the matter with just a thought. I have. Ai Shang said. June Changshao put his elbow on the armrest and held his chin. This Shao family offended me. As expected. Ai Shang secretly said, the Shao family's strength is not even comparable to a 7th-rate sect. They dared to offend Iron Bone. Are they tired of living? If the higher-ups of the Shao family heard this, they would definitely feel wronged. They offended Iron Bone a few months ago. At that time, Iron Bone wasn't so arrogant. Now that they realized it, they were prepared to stop for a while. In the end, they were arranged. Master AI. June Changshao said, I am a bit of a vengeful person. I also hate two-faced people, Ai Shang hurriedly said, Sect Master June, my AI family has nothing to do with the Shao family. I am not a two-faced person. Listening to the sound of the strings, it was absolutely full marks. June Changshao said, we're friends, so June will naturally believe you. As he spoke, he placed 2 healing pills on the table and said, thank you for your support at the Haoqi sect. These 2 healing pills are for Master AI. This, if you don't accept it, then you're treating me like an outsider. Ai Shang said, thank you, Sect Leader June, for your gift. After saying that, he happily took back the pills. After all, according to the last auction price, 2 healing pills were worth 1,200,000 taels. Patriarch AI. June Changshao asked, how's the gathering of the materials coming along? Yes. Ai Shang hurriedly took out the medicinal herbs he had collected recently and said, Sect Master June, the medicinal herbs are a bit lacking this time. Let's gather more after some time. This AI will personally send them to the Iron Bone sect. June Changshao put away the medicinal herbs and said, that's right, I have a list of medicinal herb seeds here. Do you have them in stock? Ai Shang took the list and glanced at it. He smiled and said, Sect Master June, the medicinal herbs are a bit hard to find, but my AI family has a lot of these seeds. As he spoke, he handed the list to shopkeeper Ma and ordered him to bring all the seeds in the shortest time possible. After he left, Ai Shang moved closer and said in a low voice, Sect Master June, this AI has a question, but I don't know if it's appropriate to ask. Of course. Have all the disciples of your sect taken the body-shaping pill? That's right. Your disciples performed so well at the Haoqi sect. It should have something to do with the body-shaping pill, right? It has a lot to do with it. Great. A smile appeared on Ai Shang's face. June Changshao knew that Ai Shang wanted to hype up the body-shaping pill, so he was looking forward to how high the auction price would be. The higher the auction price, the more he would get. Even if he had more than 10 million taels in his pocket, Sect Master Jun wouldn't mind. Half an hour later. Shopkeeper Ma took out all the medicinal herbs on the list, and all of them were of high quality. Needless to say, it was a free gift. Jun Changshao accepted it with a smile and cupped his hands. I still have matters to attend to at the sect. Jun will take his leave first. Ai Shang sent him off. Ai family head's attitude towards Sect Master Jun is so good. At the Haochi sect, Ai family head is helping the Ironbone sect. I heard that he was even willing to lend 10 million taels. TSK, such a close relationship. The Ai family and the Ironbone sect must have a lot of business dealings. The passers-by discussed in low voices. After sending off Jun Changshao, Ai family head returned home. He clasped his hands behind his back and hesitated in the main hall. Family head, what happened? Ai Shang didn't understand. Sigh. Ai Shang sighed and said, Liang City's Shao family offended Sect Master Jun. Ai Shang's eyes widened. Ai Shang sat down and put one hand on the teacup. Sect Master Jun should know that we have business dealings with the Shao family. He came to the medicine shop to knock some sense into them. Ai Shang asked, Family head, what should we do? Ai Shang took a sip of tea and said, Sect Master Jun is our Ai family's god of wealth. We cannot offend him. So, we have to stop our business with the Shao family immediately. Ai Shang said, but, the Shao family just sent a deposit a few days ago. Third brother even signed a contract with them, we have to stop it even if it's a breach of contract. Ai Shang said firmly. Breach of contract? Then they have to pay 10 times the deposit. Although Ai Shang's heart ached, since the family head said so, they had to stop it immediately. I'll go and tell them. Wait, check carefully. See if our Ai family has any business dealings with the Shao family. If they do, no matter how big or small or how much they cost, stop them all. Okay. Shao family. The sixth elder, who was in charge of medicinal herbs and pills, walked into the main hall dejectedly with a large stack of banknotes. Sixth brother, where did you get so much money? Shao family's first elder asked. The Ai family gave it to us. Sixth elder said. Second elder said with a smile, why did the Ai family head suddenly give us so much money? Is it because our Shao family has always been buying from their pharmacy? Although our Shao family's main business is not our business, we have half of the medicinal herbs and pills market in Liang City. Third elder said with a smile, the Ai family will definitely think highly of us. It's natural for them to give us money to deepen our relationship. The Ai family had recently developed a healing pill and was in the limelight. Suddenly, they took the initiative to give so much money. The Shao family's upper echelons felt like their bodies were floating from the ground. Sigh. Sixth elder slammed the banknotes on the table and said angrily, what bullshit money, this is the penalty for breach of contract from the Ai family. Penalty for breach of contract. Everyone's smile froze. Shao family's first elder frowned, what happened? Sixth elder put a letter on the table and said, the Ai family just sent someone to deliver a letter. They want to cut off all business dealings with our Shao family. What? The elders all gathered around to read the letter. Sure enough, it was written clearly in black and white from today onwards, our Ai family will cut off all business dealings with the Shao family. The signature was Ai Shang, and there was even a fingerprint. Everyone who was about to float up just now was hit in the head by a heavy hammer. Not only did their souls instantly enter their bodies, but they also almost drilled into the ground. Although that stack of money was a lot, if they cut off all business dealings with the Ai family, without high-quality medicinal herbs and pills, how would they do business in the future? Gotcha. Shao family's first elder held the letter and said angrily, our Shao family must have offended someone. Chapter 167. The AI family didn't hesitate to break the contract and cut off all business dealings. No matter how stupid the Shao family was, they could guess that they had offended someone. The great elder's eyebrows wrinkled even more. The AI family prioritized business and paid particular attention to harmony. Suddenly cutting off all business dealings and not hesitating to pay 10 times the penalty, there must be a huge force behind this. My Shao family. Who the hell did I offend? The great elder was about to collapse. Of course, he didn't consider that it was Jun Changshao behind the scenes because this 8th-rate sect absolutely didn't have the qualifications and ability to make the AI family cut off all business dealings with them. What a pity. It really was Jun Changshao. After leaving the medicine store, he didn't immediately return. Instead, he went around the market and bought some seasonings and seeds for Du, as well as some crystal cores. He didn't return home until dusk came. If the AI family had good eyesight, they would have cut off all business dealings with the Shao family by now. If you lose quality suppliers, even if you can buy from other stores, you will certainly lose a lot of customers, and your profits will inevitably be greatly reduced. There are also mineral veins. Without this industry, it's equal to cutting off half of your income. How can a family develop without money? Jia jia jia. A gloomy laughter came from the mountains, scaring the beasts away. It was already dark when he returned to the sect. Huh. Jun Changshao had just returned to the courtyard when he saw Zhou Hong sitting at the door. Puzzled, he asked, "Why are you sitting here instead of practicing your sword?" Shua. Zhou Hong got up and hurriedly said, "Sect leader, please teach me the Ling Jian divine art." This guy was really persistent. He squatted at the door for a whole day and didn't even go to pee. If you want to learn, you can. Jun Changshao said, "You must contribute to the sect." He wouldn't give anything just because he was a good seedling. He must be recognized. For example, Yi Xingchen defeated the disciples of the vast spirit sect with absolute strength and showed off the power of the iron bone. Therefore, he generously gave him the cold-edged sword. The system didn't take the initiative to match the sword skills with the sect's martial arts, indicating that this thing couldn't be casually given to disciples to practice. It's not that the system didn't automatically match, but the level of the sword skills was too high. Even if disciples with low spiritual roots had a book, they could only learn a little. Sect leader. Zhou Hong said, "How can I get contribution points?" Jun Changshao considered for a moment, then said, "Soon, I will be bringing my disciples out for training. You should come along as well. If your performance is good, I can reward Ling Jian with a divine technique." All right. Zhou Hong agreed without hesitation. There were two things that a swordsman cared about the most. One was the sword, and the other was the sword technique. It didn't matter if they lost their lives for it. After returning to the study, Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and began to automatically match the herbs and fire seeds. Then, he began to refine the pills. There weren't many herbs this time, so there weren't many herbs to refine. However, he had accumulated a lot of healing pills. This made Jun Changshao secretly think, should he give more to the AI clan and let them auction it off? No. The rarer something was, the more expensive it was. Only by controlling the quantity could it be sold for a good price. The next morning, a beautiful divine song began to play on the training field. Jun Changshao led the disciples to dance at the front. After the dance, they went to the herb garden. After receiving the herb seeds and inspecting them, Elder Wei said in surprise, "Sect leader, these are all high-quality herb seeds from the AI clan." Jun Changshao said, "With Elder Wei's strength, he naturally needs high-quality seeds to show his talent." "Sect leader, you flatter me." Elder Wei said, "The higher the quality of the seeds, the longer the growth period." "How long?" "With the current spiritual power gathered in the herb garden, it will take at least 2 months." "How's the effect?" Elder Wei pondered for a moment, then said, "It's much better than the first batch of herbs." "Is that so?" Jun Changshao was overjoyed. The first batch of qi gathering pills refined from herbs already had 10 times the spiritual power. If these high-quality pills matured, wouldn't it be even better to refine them? "Elder Wei," Jun Changshao said, "I have a body-shaping pill here. Take it." If they wanted to make the disciples stronger quickly to deal with the one-year agreement with the Holy Spring Sect, they had to rely on qi-gathering pills. If they just relied on collecting herbs outside to refine them, the supply would definitely not meet the demand. Therefore, Elder Wei was very important. "I'm already an old bag of bones." Elder Wei shook his head and laughed. "What's the point of taking pills?" Jun Changshao said, "Take this pill. It can strengthen your body." "Elder Wei, don't refuse." "Okay." Elder Wei took the pill and swallowed it. When the pill took effect and his muscles, blood, and strength were greatly improved, he said in disbelief, "Little guy, this pill of yours is amazing." Jun Changshao said, "Elder Wei, I have many more amazing pills. If you join Iron Bone and become the medicine hall master, you can eat as much as you want." He was not satisfied with hiring a herbalist who was so meticulous in cultivating herbs. Instead, he hoped to recruit him into the sect and become a member of Iron Bone. Elder Wei shook his head and said, "I'm already an old man with one foot in the grave. How can I still think about joining a sect?" Jun Changshao said seriously, "Elder Wei, you have to know that there are people in this world who are old in person but young in heart." "Old in person but young in heart." Elder Wei laughed at himself and said, "I don't have any dreams or goals. I live in this world. My old in person and old in heart." Jun Changshao said, "As long as one is alive, one must constantly strive." Elder Wei is too pessimistic. Sigh. Elder Wei sighed and said, "Little guy, when you've experienced more things and suffered more blows, you'll understand that it's impossible not to be pessimistic." He turned and left. His back looked even more aged. "Elder Wei." Jun Changshao shouted, "I don't care what you've experienced or what kind of blows you've suffered. I just want to tell you that as long as one is healthy, one should strive and not give up on oneself." Elder Wei stopped and laughed, "Little guy, are you teaching an old man who has walked more paths than you have eaten?" Jun Changshao said seriously, "I just don't want Elder Wei to continue sinking. I want him to live happily. Even if it's not for himself, it's for his deceased relatives and brothers." Elder Wei's body suddenly shook. His skinny hands trembled slightly. Sure enough, he had guessed right. Jun Changshao said, "Elder Wei's research on herbs has reached perfection. He must have worked hard when he was young. Since that's the case, why don't you pull yourself together and work with me to do something great?" "Work together to do something great," these words rang in his ears. They came not only from Jun Changshao but also from someone else. Elder Wei's cloudy eyes gradually moistened. "Child," he said with a trembling voice, "someone said the last sentence to me several hundred years ago." Jun Changshao said, "It seems that I'm not the only one who understands Elder Wei." Phew. Elder Wei took a deep breath and said sadly, "There's no one in this world who understands me anymore." "I understand," Jun Changshao said. Elder Wei said, "Little guy, tell me about your great cause." Jun Changshao said seriously, "Let Iron Bone Clan become the strongest clan. Let the name of the clan be known throughout the Falling Star continent. Your great cause is much greater than his." Elder Wei muttered. He turned around and smiled, "However, it's very much to my liking." Elder Wei agreed. "If the clan leader doesn't mind these old bones of mine, I'm willing to do something for Iron Bone Clan." The next day, Jun Changshao summoned the disciples and solemnly announced the establishment of the second medicine hall of Iron Bone Clan. Elder Wei was appointed as the hall master and was in charge of herbs and medicine. Sun Bukong and the others were assigned to the medicine hall. After receiving Hall Master Feng, Elder Wei returned to the herb garden and sat alone in the pavilion. He looked at the blue sky and white clouds in the sky and muttered, "Old friend, is my decision right? P.S. Please subscribe, support, recommend, and monthly votes. If the results are good, there will be more at night." Chapter 168. The establishment of the medicine hall signified that Iron Bone was one step closer to becoming a professional. Of course, there was still a long way to go. Jun Changshao needed to explore as he walked. Then, he would slowly add in the essentials of a sect, gradually perfecting and expanding it. Although this path was destined to be long, he was full of confidence because he had the system cheat. Shao Clan's pills and herbs were arranged by AI Clan, and Li Luoqiu was also in charge of the mines. Jun Changshao was free and unfettered, and began to focus on martial arts. After buying the Green Dragon Crescent Blade, he realized that his peak martial disciple strength was nothing but bullshit. He needed to break through as soon as possible. How to break through? He could only complete the epic mission. Because if he didn't complete it, his realm would be suppressed. Damn it. Jun Changshao opened the data panel and tapped on the details of the epic mission. He muttered, "There are still 30 days left for the mission. I have enough time to prepare." This kind of mission to kill a large number of beasts in the valley was equivalent to a large-scale mission. He needed to bring a lot of disciples. Sect Master. While thinking, Li Qingyang walked into the study room and said, "There are a lot of people coming to sign up." "How many?" "At least 500 to 600. That's quite a lot." Jun Changshao wasn't surprised that so many people came to sign up. After all, after defeating Hao Qi sect, any smart person would realize the potential of Iron Bone. "Let's go." Jun Changshao stood up and said, "Let's go and accept disciples." Creak. The tightly shut door of Iron Bone was pushed open. Jun Changshao walked out. Before he even walked down the stairs, a few hundred youths surrounded him like a tide, clamoring to join the sect. Many of these youths had seen the recruitment announcement a month ago, and wanted to join. Why did they only come now? Because they told their parents about the idea of joining Iron Bone, and were mercilessly suppressed. The reason was that they offended the 100 Sect Alliance and challenged Hao Qi sect. Joining such a sect was equivalent to courting death. No wonder those parents. The 100 Sect Alliance and Hao Qi sect were giants in Azure Sun County. Who would dare to take the risk and send their children to the tiger's mouth? Things were different now. Jun Changshao led his disciples to defeat the vast Qi sect, using their strength to prove the strength of Iron Bone. A sect that was once unrated seemed to have suddenly risen and even had the ability to wrestle with a sixth-rate sect. They were definitely a force with great potential. Many far-sighted parents not only agreed with their children's decision, but also personally sent them to the mountain gate and prayed at the foot of the mountain, hoping that they would be accepted by Iron Bone. It was a pity. Many parents were destined to be disappointed, because there were only 260 spots left for Iron Bone. "Line up, one by one." Li Qingyang commanded the order. More than 500 youths lined up neatly and went through the interview one by one. "What's his name?" Jun Changshao asked the first teenager who came to register. Perhaps because the young man was too excited, he stammered, "Reporting." "Reporting. Sect leader." I, Jun Changshao said, "Straighten your tongue before you speak." "Who?" The young man took a deep breath and controlled his emotions. "Reporting. Reporting to Sect Master, my name is Yin Jiping." Jun Changshao said, "Quanzhen Sect." "Quanzhen Sect." Yin Jiping said with a blank face, "I've never joined a sect before." Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Xiao Longnu was harmed by people with this name. Go, Iron Bone is not suitable for you." Not accepting disciples just because of their names. Sure enough, they can do whatever they want. This incident told us that even in the other world, naming was a very technical matter. Next. Jun Changshao said. A young man with a decent appearance walked over and said politely, "Sect leader Jun, my name is Lin Jiangheng." Jun Changshao sized up the entry form, filled in his name and stamped it. He pointed to the back and said, "Go in, someone will receive you." "Thank you, sect leader." Lin Jiangheng bowed and stepped into Iron Bone under the envy of the other youths. Without asking anything, he was accepted just by saying his name. It seemed that he still had a chance. He's in, he's in. Su Xiaoma, who was sitting on the training ground, said with a blade of grass in his mouth, "Xiao Fei, it's up to you." "Okay." Li Fei raised his leg and shot. The happy football flew in an arc. Lin Jiangheng, who had just walked in, didn't even have time to look at Iron Bone before the ball hit his face. "Not bad." Su Xiaoma said, "To be able to take a kick from Xiao Fei without falling, you should have some strength. Using a football as a test, ingenious." Outside. Jun Changshao didn't expect Su Xiaoma and his group of bastards to use a football to kick a new disciple. He took out another entry form and said, "What's your name?" The young man said, "My name is Cui Bujian." Pa, he stamped the sect's seal and said, "Go in." This guy really only needed to look at the right person and not ask about the cultivation level of the spirit root, just the name. Bang! Inside Iron Bone, Cui Bujian, who had just walked in, was also attacked by the ball. He fell to the ground with a loud bang and spat out blood. Su Xiaoma said in shock, "So weak. One kick and he spat out blood. That." Li Fei scratched his head and said, "Senior brother, I didn't control my strength well just now. That kick was at least 1,000 pounds of force." Ah! Su Xiaoma's eyes widened. Then, he rushed over and carried Cui Bujian, who was spitting out blood, and rushed to the medicine hall in a hurry. "Sun Bukong, save him, save him." As long as Jun Changshao liked them, they would be accepted into the sect. In a short time, more than 500 youths were all interviewed. 260 people joined Iron Bone, the rest were eliminated. There was no other way. There were only so many spots, it was impossible to accept all of them. After the disciple recruitment, the data on the system panel showed that the sect had reached 500 people, and the contribution points increased to 720 points. The points would be automatically removed after 24 hours, so Jun Changshao didn't think about it and bought 4 bottles of aptitude-changing liquid for Su Xiaoma and the others to use. As for the remaining 20 points, he planned to try his luck at night and see if he could get some good stuff from the store. Ding! The system has reached the maximum number of members. The sect mission has been activated. Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and opened the data panel. The sect mission changed from no mission to sect mission. Click to see the details. Click to see. Rows of missions appeared on the small data panel. There were more than 100 kinds of missions, and sect leader Jun was a little dazzled. Maybe because of the construction of the sect and the increase in its level, there were very few 1-star missions. Most of them were 2-star missions, and there were a few 3-star missions. 1 star represented 1 contribution point, and 2 stars represented 2 points. Jun Changshao estimated that if all the disciples completed the missions, the achievement points would be full. Then, the sect could be upgraded and more functions could be unlocked. But it was too troublesome to release so many missions one by one. The system said, "Host can refresh the store. If you are lucky, you might be able to refresh the mission board and let the disciples accept the missions themselves." Chapter 169. The first time he gave out missions, Jun Changshao gathered the disciples and gave them out one by one because there weren't many missions. This time, there were more than 100 missions. It would be troublesome to give them out. At the crucial moment, the system mentioned the Sect's mission board. The Sect's mission board was a product that could automatically give out missions. It could be operated for 24 hours and the disciples could pick them up by themselves. The premise was that they had to be refreshed from the store. Is it hard to get? As long as the host has contribution points, it won't be a problem to get them. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, "Aren't you talking nonsense? If I have endless contribution points, what can't I get?" "Unfortunately, you don't have endless contribution points," the system said. Jun Changshao was too lazy to care about it and muttered, "I have an ominous feeling that I will be cheated of a lot of contribution points." Sect Master. At this time, Elder Wei came to see him and said, "A sect can't only have one herbalist." "Elder Wei, what do you mean?" Jun Changshao asked. Elder Wei said, "I want to pick a few suitable disciples in the sect and personally teach them how to plant medicinal herbs." Being hired as a herbalist only needed to plant medicinal herbs. Now that he was the head of the Iron Bone Medicine Hall, he had to fulfill his responsibilities. Jun Changshao said, "Tomorrow, I will gather the disciples and let Elder Wei choose them personally." Okay. Elder Wei left to plant medicinal herbs. Jun Changshao began to prepare for the dungeon trial 1 month later. He decided to take 25 disciples to Death Valley first. 7 inner disciples would definitely go. The other 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots would also go. The rest would be filled by Zhou Hong, Long Xiang, and the others. Jun Changshao returned to the study and pulled out the beginner's store. When he refreshed at the vast Qi sect, he only looked at the green dragon crescent blade and began to compete with Qin Haran. He didn't have time to carefully look at the other items. Shua! Suddenly, Jun Changshao stood up. In the second row of the item column, there was a magic-modified sniper rifle silencer. A sniper rifle with a silencer. This was the favorite item of gunners. Clicking on the detailed introduction, the content was that it was suitable for various kinds of magically modified sniper rifles. It could be used to silence the user after shooting. The price was 20 contribution points. Only 20 points. It's not expensive at all. Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points and received a magically modified silencer X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500500. After buying the silencer, Jun Changshao continued to browse through the products. Unfortunately, the rest of the products were useless. He continued to refresh. Ding! Sect contribution points, 490,500. The refresh this time was very unlucky. The products were all daily necessities, such as multifunctional toothbrushes and multifunctional soaps. Jun Changshao bought a multifunctional soap at the cheapest price of 10 contribution points. Needless to say, it had a lot of functions and could be used as shampoo or shower gel. Ding! Sect contribution points, 470,500. It refreshed again. Although most of the products this time were useless, there was an item called Body Technique Training Room that was worth buying. Its function was similar to a muscle building room and was mainly used to train body techniques. Jun Changshao bought it for 20 contribution points. Not only could he use it for himself, but he could also use it for Su Xiaomua and the other members of the Drizzle Hall to train their body techniques. Sect contribution points, 440,500. On the third refresh, his luck finally came. An item called Sect Mission Board appeared in the list of products. The system said, "Yes, yes." Jun Changshao happily clicked on the product introduction. The content was item, Sect Mission Board. Introduction: after activation, it will automatically match the system with sect missions. Disciples can click on sect missions to receive them. Price: 100 contribution points. So expensive? After seeing the price, Jun Changshao was a little speechless. The system said, the sect mission board can exempt the host from frequently giving out sect missions. It's worth buying even if it's expensive. That's true. Jun Changshao bought it for 100 contribution points. After spending like this, he was left with 340 contribution points. Jun Changshao came to the outer courtyard. He first placed the body technique training room next to the muscle building room. Then, he chose a bigger room and took out the sect mission board. The sect mission board was like a wall-mounted television. It was about 140 by 80 in length and width. Jun Changshao hung it 1 meter high on the wall. With a thought, he activated it. The screen instantly lit up, automatically matching sect missions and displaying them. There were not many missions. For the time being, there were only 20 types listed. There were small words at the bottom. The mission board refreshed at a fixed time every morning. Moreover, it was divided into individual and group missions. There were also mission difficulties and suggestions for cultivation base. What was even more interesting was that there was a mission completion ranking on the right. However, because no one had completed it, the ranking was currently empty. Pay attention, Jun Changshao said. He called Li Qingyang over and found someone to make a plaque. He hung it outside the room. From then on, Iron Bone had another mission pavilion. The next day, after morning exercises, Jun Changshao began to introduce the mission board in the mission pavilion in detail, as well as how to receive them. It was not too difficult. One could just click to receive a single mission. For group missions with a high number of stars and required a fixed number of people, the participating disciples could click to receive them separately. Many of the new disciples' eyes lit up when they heard that there would be various martial arts resources as rewards after completing the sect missions. After introducing the sect mission board, Elder Wei selected 5 disciples. To become a pharmacist, one did not need to have a high aptitude. One only needed to be careful and serious. I'll say it one last time. Jun Changshao said in a deep voice, do the sect missions according to your ability. Those who do not meet the requirements and cannot complete the mission within the time limit will be severely punished. Yes. OJ-8K, disband. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, hundreds of disciples rushed into the mission pavilion. They crowded in front of the sect mission board and curiously looked at it. They had never seen such a TV-like thing. After a while, some disciples tried to use their fingers to click on a single mission. Then, the confirm and cancel buttons popped up. Confirm. Disciple Li Tian has received a 2-star sect mission. Deliver letters to the villagers of Qingyang village 5 times in 10 days. The prompt sounded abruptly in the mission pavilion. Everyone was shocked and retreated. That scared me to death. Does this count as receiving the mission? Ha ha ha. Li Tian squeezed out of the crowd and stood at the door. He waved at everyone and grinned. Senior and junior brothers, I'll go do the mission first. With that, he ran out quickly. Bang! As soon as he came out, he was hit by a ball of happiness. He flew into the air again and then fell into the greenery. Since Li Tian had started, the other disciples were eager to try. However, the sect leader had repeatedly reminded them, so they chose to accept the mission as much as possible. Senior brother Long, let's form a team and receive this 3-star mission, Li Yuhua said as she pointed at the mission board. Sure. Long Xiang had no objections. Ling Yuanxue lowered her head and said weakly, Senior brothers, can you bring me along? No problem. The 3 of them clicked confirm. The prompt sounded. Disciples Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxue have received a 3-star sect mission. Head to Mount Huaqing to hunt subterranean beasts in 5 days. The subterranean beasts level was not too high. With their current cultivation levels, they could handle it. The difficult part was finding the mission target. Let's go. Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxue set off. The other disciples, after careful consideration, accepted the mission according to the requirements. In just half an hour, more than 20 missions on the mission board had been accepted. Many disciples could only continue to cultivate and wait for the next day to refresh. Sitting in front of the stone railing in front of the main hall, Jun Changshao muttered, "This mission board is really convenient." Chapter 170. Relying on the sect's mission board, the disciples could accept missions on their own. Jun Changshao did not need to release them one by one, which saved him a lot of trouble. Next, he called Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi over and gave them a bottle of aptitude-changing liquid according to their respective spiritual roots. The three who had tasted the sweetness immediately consumed it. Tian Qi and Li Fei's spiritual roots rose to the middle grade, and their cultivations also entered the 6th grade martial disciple realm. Su Xiaoma stepped into the top grade spiritual root, and his cultivation broke through to the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, the number of people with top grade spiritual roots in the Iron Bones sect increased from 3 to 4. Although the sect was only an 8th-rate sect, it had already surpassed the 6th-rate Vast Chi sect with 3 top-grade spiritual roots. With only top-grade spiritual roots, their overall strength was still far from being enough. "Thank you, Sect Master." Su Xiaoma and the other two cupped their hands and said. Jun Changshao said, "Continue to work hard in your cultivation. 1 month later, I will bring you to Death Valley for training." The three who were originally quite happy immediately froze when they heard the words Death Valley. "What's wrong?" Jun Changshao asked. Su Xiaoma said in shock, "Sect Master, Death Valley is the forbidden area of Azure Sun County. It is said that high-level beasts comparable to Wuzong can be found everywhere inside." Tian Qi and Li Fei's eyes were also filled with fear. The three of them had heard of the various terrifying aspects of Death Valley from their elders since they were young, and it created a lingering psychological shadow. Not only them. When the martial artists of Azure Sun County heard of Death Valley, their expressions also changed. Forbidden area. It was not a joke. Jun Changshao said, "It is because of the difficulty that I will bring you there for training. This way, you can increase your strength. Wasn't it just to complete the epic mission?" He made it sound like he had put in a lot of effort. "If Sect Master says we will go, then we will go." Su Xiaoma expressed his stance. Tian Qi and Li Fei also agreed. Psychological shadow. Overcome it. The one with the biggest reaction was still Li Qingyang. When he found out about this, he almost fell to the ground. "Sect Master," Li Qingyang said with a solemn expression, "Death Valley is filled with ferocious beasts. Without Wuzong's cultivation, it's already good enough that 2 or 3 out of 10 people who go in come out alive. So dangerous? Extremely dangerous." Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and smiled. "The more dangerous it is, the more challenging it will be. Prepare well, we'll head to the Death Valley in a month." Li Qingyang was silent. As a disciple, he would not go against the sect master's decision. He followed the instructions and gathered the 10 middle-grade aptitude junior brothers and began to arrange for special training. Jun Changshao also knew that Death Valley was fraught with danger, and he could not treat the lives of his disciples as a joke. Therefore, he began to provide them with a large number of energy-gathering pills, hoping that they could reach a higher level within a month. You can't leave out the secondary tank either. That brat Li Yuhua's body is fine. Let Zuiji take him through special training. When the time comes, he can be used to fight monsters. Li Qingyang trained 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots, and Xiao Ziji trained Li Yuhua individually. Everything was arranged properly. Next, when they finished their training, they would head to the Death Valley to fight in the dungeon. As for the other disciples, Jun Changshao could not ignore them. Due to the suppression of their levels, he personally went to train them. First, he set a small goal. In a short period of time, let the new disciples all break through to stage 12 meridian opening, and even become martial disciples. Many meridian opening pills would not be a problem. The selected disciples began to undergo special training for the trial in the Death Valley in a month. The new disciples cultivated under Jun Changxiao's guidance. Elder Wei also cultivated 5 disciples while planting high-grade herbs. The sect was thriving. On the 3rd day, Li Luoqiu brought people back to the sect. Sect Master. In the study, Hall Master Li placed a spatial ring on the table and said with a smile, the Shao family's mine collapsed and seized a few 100,000 taels of iron. Jun Changxiao said, that's right. If the mine collapsed, the Shao family could dig it out again. However, this would consume more resources and manpower, and they would also suffer heavy losses in a short period of time. I have installed a type of equipment in the training room that can improve one's movement technique. When you have time, let the members of the Drizzle Hall cultivate there. Jun Changxiao said. Equipment to improve one's movement technique? Filled with curiosity, Li Luoqiu came to the training room and saw that there was another tent beside the molding room. There was a light flickering on it, and it was obvious that someone was training inside. Time ended. The door of the movement technique training room opened, and Su Xiaomao walked out with a swollen face. Then, he fell down with a plop, and white foam came out of his mouth. Li Luoqiu touched her chin and said, it seems a little scary. As she said that, she walked into the movement technique training room. What appeared in front of her was a spacious space. The moment the door closed, her body started to run uncontrollably. It was a little like a treadmill, but the difference was that when Li Luoqiu started running, numerous hidden weapons flew from all directions, forcing her to choose to dodge. An hour later. The time in the training room ended, and Li Luoqiu walked out with sweat all over her head. Her slender legs were trembling violently, and she said while panting, too scary. Shao family. When the great elder found out that the few direct descendants of the Shao family who were in charge of supervising the work had gone missing and that the mine had collapsed, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The loss of business with the AI family was still bearable, but the collapse of the mine, which was the family's biggest source of income, was definitely a fatal blow. It was already good enough that he didn't faint on the spot. Damn it, who did it? First, the elegant residence was burned down, then the AI family cut off business with us, and now the mine collapsed for no reason. There must be someone behind this. The upper echelons of the Shao family were all furious. The industries that supported the family's economy were continuously damaged. This was very fatal for a family, and it was definitely unbearable. Think about it, losing the supply of goods was equivalent to losing the funds. Without funds, how could they buy martial arts resources and allow the direct descendants to maintain their normal cultivation? The news of the AI family cutting off business and the collapse of the mine quickly spread in Liang City. The martial artists who originally guessed that the fire in the elegant residence might be a coincidence immediately believed that they had offended someone and had been arranged properly. Who arranged it? Many people were thinking, and all kinds of guesses were spreading in Liang City. The Bei family and the Shao family have always had grudges. In my opinion, the possibility of the Bei family secretly causing trouble is very high. The Zhang family and the Wang family had a conflict with the Shao family a few years ago because of the iron mine. These two families are also very likely. The martial artists were constantly discussing, and the matter continued to ferment. All kinds of guesses were spreading, and if they were all categorized, almost all the big and small families in Liang City had a motive. At first, the Bei family didn't pay attention to the rumors outside. After all, they didn't do it, and there was nothing to be afraid of. But after the direct descendants of the Shao family heard about it, they subconsciously believed that the Bei family was secretly causing trouble. Thus, when they met the direct descendants of the Bei family on the street, they couldn't see eye to eye and immediately had a dispute. In the end, it evolved into a fight. Just like that, the originally peaceful Liang city had become a scene of exciting fights almost every day because the two families had brought their conflicts out in the open. Many suspicious families were also implicated, causing the city to become extremely chaotic. The person who spread all kinds of rumors, Great Sect Master Jun, was sitting in the study listening to Li Luochio's report. He grinned and said, "This is called gossip is a fearful thing." Chapter 171. The rumors in Liang City were all deliberately spread by Jun Changshao under the orders of the Drizzle Hall members. Even when the Bei family and Shao family's direct descendants met, they would sometimes play tricks in the dark, causing the two sides to have conflicts and fight. Cutting off their source of income and letting the Shao family make enemies everywhere, this was Jun Changxiao's entire plan. After accepting the mission of letting the members spread rumors and play tricks in the dark, Li Luochio once said, "Are you the devil?" She dealt with her enemies straightforwardly. She would never dream of Jun Changxiao's various methods. Sometimes, Li Luochio thought, if she didn't come out at that time and hid in the headquarters with the members, the final outcome would definitely be arranged by this guy. So, he was the devil. "Let's stop targeting the Shao family for now, just keep an eye on them," Jun Changxiao said. "Who's the next target?" Li Luochio asked. Jun Changxiao spread his hands and said, "My iron bone isn't an enemy of the entire world, why would I have so many enemies to target?" He really didn't want to be in the limelight, nor did he want to offend others for the sake of acting cool. If no one provoked him, he just wanted to quietly nurture his disciples, develop the sect, and become stronger step by step. When he had nothing to do, he would lead his disciples to sing and dance, or take them on outings and barbecues in the wild after boring cultivation. This idea was good. But Jun Changxiao understood that reality was cruel. Because where there was Jianghu, there would be grudges. Unless you were so strong that no one dared to provoke you. Li Luochio smiled and said, "Does Haoqi sect not count?" "You don't say." Jun Changxiao held his chin and said, "Alliance Master Qin has suffered such a big setback, he must be holding a grudge, maybe he will jump out one day to show his existence. So, Sect Master plans to deal with it as it comes. Qin Haoren must hate him, Jun Changxiao couldn't be so arrogant as to destroy a sixth-rate sect. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. If the enemy moves, I'll greet them with a brick." Because of all kinds of rumors, the conflict between the Shao family and the other families became more and more intense. In the end, they alarmed the city lord, who dragged them to the city lord's mansion and gave them a harsh lecture. Although the various great clans had become well-behaved, they had formed a greater grudge against the Shao clan. If there was any conflict in the future, it would definitely explode. They couldn't destroy the Shao clan. Just like that, it caused a great disturbance. This was Jun Changxiao's real goal. Judging from the current situation, it was clear that he had succeeded. Thus, he ordered the Drizzle Hall to keep an eye on the situation at all times and focus on training the disciples. Pass the ball, pass the ball. On the training field, after Su Xiaomua and Li Fei finished their training, they organized a friendly soccer match with their junior brothers. Unless it was necessary to undergo special training, Jun Changxiao had always emphasized to his disciples that they had to be relaxed and moderate in their cultivation. It was also appropriate for them to have some spare time activities to cultivate their temperament. Swish Li Fei made a long pass in the midfield. The happy ball dragged an arc and greeted Jun Changxiao, who had just walked out. But in the end, it was caught by him with one hand. "Come." Jun Changxiao walked into the training field in high spirits and said, "I will play with you guys for a while." The corners of Su Xiaomua and the others' mouths twitched. With the sect leader's strength, if he couldn't control his strength and kick them, they would definitely become Li Tian Tian. Aya. Li Yuhua suddenly clutched his stomach and said, it hurts, I need to go to the toilet. As he said that, he was about to slip away, but he had only taken 2 steps when the happy ball hit his head. He heard Jun Changshao say, Yuhua, go and guard the goal. Oh. Li Yuhua rubbed his head and walked back, but he heard the sect leader say again, come back, it's to guard the opposite goal. Ah. Begin. As a striker, sect leader Jun showed off after he got the ball, then passed the defenders and charged into the penalty area. He raised his leg and shot. Swish, the ball carried the force, dragging an arc and flying towards the goal. Li Yuhua, who was in charge of guarding the goal, didn't make a save. Instead, he turned around and ran to the side, leaving a big gap. It wasn't that he didn't have the awareness of a goalkeeper, but that the happy ball wasn't going towards the goal, but towards him. Boom! Li Yuhua was 1 step too slow and was hit by the ball. His body was sent into the goal. Yeah. Jun Changshao raised his peace sign to celebrate. But no teammates came to celebrate, because they all stood in place with twitching mouths. Sect leader, this is a one-man show. The game continued. Jun Changshao was like Ronaldo. As long as he touched the ball, he would move past the defenders and shoot. As the goalkeeper, Li Yuhua only had one task, and that was not to guard the goal, but to think of ways to escape the tragic fate of being hit by the ball. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape at all. When the score increased to 7 o'clock, the disciples on the field looked at Li Yuhua, who was kicked into the goal 7 times in a row, and their mouths almost became crooked. How was the sect leader playing football? He was clearly kicking people. Hey! Jun Changshao shouted, don't just stand there like idiots, let's play together. Su Xiaoma and the others were about to cry. Sect leader, from the beginning until now, you have scored 7 goals, and we teammates haven't even touched the ball once. How can we play happily like this? Swish! Jun Changshao passed the ball to Su Xiaoma, who immediately recovered from his mental breakdown. He dribbled the ball all the way into the penalty area and kicked Li Yuhua. He and the ball went into the goal together. Damn it! He finally found the feeling of playing football. Bang! 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 Sect leader Jun began to cooperate with his teammates. All kinds of long passes and straight passes appeared frequently, and he scored wonderful goals again and again. The most valiant thing was that this guy took the ball in the backfield. When he saw an opening, he lifted his leg and shot. The ball flew close to the ground and hit Li Yuhua. Both the man and the ball drilled into the goal again. Super, world-class ball. Li Yuhua, who was kneeling in the goal and catching the ball with his abdomen, said while foaming at the mouth, I think, I can still be saved, plop. He fell to the ground and fainted. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, his physical strength is not enough. He needs more rigorous training. Do you think the sect leader is so bored that he is playing football? No, he is specially training Li Yuhua to not only become a qualified secondary tank, but also a flexible secondary tank. I have sinned. Jun Changshao said loudly, this kid's physical training needs to be doubled. Yes. Xiao Ziji, who was acting as a spectator, said. Su Xiaoma, from tomorrow onwards, organize a football match every day. Li Yuhua will be the goalkeeper. Yes. After arranging everything, Jun Changshao came to the door of the training room. Lin Jiangheng, Cui Bujian, and a few other new disciples were sitting on the stairs. They all had a hopeless expression on their faces. This was a normal operation. If the disciples who joined Iron Bone for the first few days could still be happy after experiencing all kinds of hellish experiences, there was only one possibility: they had been tortured to the point of insanity. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled, how do you feel? Cui Bujian tried hard to raise his head. His teeth bit his lower lip, and bean-sized tears dripped down. He cried, "Sect leader, I miss home." "This is your home," Yi Zichen said. Lin Jiangheng, Cui Bujian, and the others suddenly burst into tears. They howled in their hearts, "Sect leader, it must be the devil." Chapter 172. Li Yuhua had just finished a 3-star mission with Long Xiang and Ling Yuanxue when he came back and was beaten up by sect leader Jun. What was even more tragic was that Xiao Ziji also increased the difficulty of his physical body. That night, he trained in the molding room for 8 hours before coming out. After dawn, he wanted to go to sleep after eating, but was pulled by Su Xiaomua to play football. Everyone understood the sect leader's intention. When the game started, no one kicked the goal, but only him. Just like that, Li Yuhua began his bitter life. Although the process was painful, the speed of his growth was very significant. After a few days, his physical body and reaction had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, if Su Xiaomua and the others wanted to kick him, they had to add a lot of strength to their feet. He was not the only one cultivating. Under Li Qingyang's lead, the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples also consumed the energy-gathering pills and cultivated in the spiritual power array. Lu Qianqian, Yi Xingchen and the others had their own cultivation plans. As for the sect mission, 7 days had passed since the day it was released. The first disciple to receive the mission had already completed it. The other disciples followed one after another, completing more than 20 missions in total. Jun Changshao opened the data panel. His achievement value had increased from 100 to 200, and his contribution value had increased from 340 to 440. There were still many missions. If he completed all of them, his contribution value would definitely overflow. So, he spent another 100 contribution points to buy 2 bottles of middle-grade transformation liquid. Then, he called Tian Qi and Li Fei over. He wanted to continue improving. Gulp. Tian Qi and Li Fei took the high-grade transformation liquid. Their spiritual root quality broke through from middle grade to high grade, and their realm entered the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, all 7 inner disciples had high-grade spiritual roots. An 8th grade sect had 7 disciples with high-grade spiritual roots. If this news spread to the Jianhu, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. When he was in the Haoqi sect, Jun Changshao bought 2 bottles of transformation liquid. When the members were full, he bought 4 more bottles and gave one to Su Xiaomua and the other 2. So, he still had 3 bottles in his hand. Who should he give them to? After pondering for a moment, Zhang Xian called Li Yuhua over and passed her 2 bottles of mortal tier and middle tier forging solution respectively. This kid's physique was very good. Once his aptitude increased and he entered Death Valley, they would definitely expect him to stand in front of them and taunt them. After Li Yuhua drank the 2 bottles of aptitude reforming elixir, her spirit root was upgraded to the middle grade, and her realm broke through from stage 9 to stage 12. She stood rooted to the ground, dumbstruck. Anyone would have such an expression on their face when their spiritual root and cultivation level suddenly increased. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, "Cultivate well. Don't disappoint this king's expectations of you." Li Yuhua regained her senses and shouted loudly, "Yes." As for the last bottle of mortal grade aptitude reforming liquid, Jun Changshao decided to give it to the shy Ling Yuanxue. Firstly, she had been training very hard during this period of time, and secondly, there were very few female disciples in the sect. Everything was settled. For the rest of the time, he would wait for the disciples to complete all the sect missions so that their achievement value would reach the maximum. Then, he would come to upgrade the sect. Level 2 will open the alchemy pavilion. There will be healing pills and forging pills sold in the shop. Level 3 will open the forging pavilion. Will I be able to forge weapons? Jun Changshao was looking forward to it. 7 days later. The disciples completed all the sect missions, and their achievement value increased from the initial 100 to the maximum of 500. It could be said that Zhang Xian was very precise. He was not willing to give even a single point more. Obtaining 400 achievement value meant that they would definitely obtain 400 contribution value as well. When it was about to overflow, Jun Changshao spent 180 points to buy a Type 88 sniper rifle, an 8x scope, shoulder pads, and a silencer. Thank you, Sect Leader. Receiving the Type 88 sniper rifle equipped with an 8x scope and silencer, Li Luoqiu caressed it lovingly. During this period of time, she had fulfilled her responsibilities, so it could be considered a reward. Jun Changshao laughed. This God-powered handgun has been modified. After firing, there won't be any movement. Is that so? Li Luoqiu took the Type 88 sniper rifle and came to the back of the mountain. She had fired 2 shots before, so she knew how powerful it was. So after loading the bullets, she obediently put on the modified shoulder pads. Xiu! Xiu! 2 silent shots were fired. Hanging on a distant tree, 2 adjacent fruits were shattered. This woman's shooting talent was not worse than Xiao Ziji's. In fact, it was even better. There really isn't any sound. Li Luoqiu opened her eyes wide. With a normal silencer, one could still hear some movement. But with the modified silencer, there was only a slight sound. It was definitely useful for a sneak attack. Li Luoqiu immediately liked it even more. She wanted to go down the mountain, find an enemy, and then hide in a dark place and kill them with a shot. In the study, Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and opened the status panel. He saw the "Can Upgrade" button appear behind the Sect Construction, Level 2. Click. Ding. Sect Construction upgraded to Level 3. Ding. Sect members, contribution value, and achievement value limit increased. Ding. Sect Smithing Pavilion opened. When the notification sounded, the data panel changed greatly. Sect name, Iron Bone Clan. Sect leader, Jun Changshao. Sect level, 8th rate. Sect construction, level 3. Sect function, Medicine Refining Pavilion, Smithing Pavilion. Sect skill, Jin Jing, Divine Grade Low Level, Self/, Middle Grade Low Level, Rupturing Fist, Mortal Grade High Level. Sect members, 500-1000. Sect contribution value, 450-1000. Sect achievement value, 01000. Sect mission, none. Sect main mission, within 100 years, the number limit finally broke 1,000. Jun Changshao laughed, but his laughter soon turned into tears as he howled, "Motherfucker, I'm still short of 99,000, 1,099,000. And, the difference was not small. No matter what, upgrading the sect to level 3 was equivalent to taking another step forward. It was something worth being happy about. Schwa. Jun Changshao clicked on the newly appeared smithing pavilion. A small panel popped up and a 3D projection of a smithing table appeared. There were 3 weapons listed below. One was the low-grade cold-edge sword, the second was the high-grade overlord spear, and the third was the high-grade iron shield. As expected, it's the same as the alchemy pavilion. Jun Changshao said happily, this smithing pavilion also has the low-grade store weapons that can be forged. He clicked on the low-grade cold-edge sword and a small panel popped up. The content was weapon, low-grade cold-edge sword. Material, 0, 1 kg cold iron, 0, 1 kg ice spring water. Fire seed, exquisite fire. There are only so few materials. Jun Changshao said in shock. Most of the pills in the alchemy pavilion required 3 to 4 types of herbs. The cold-edge sword required 500 kilograms of cold iron and a bucket of ice spring water. The system said, Other than high-level and special weapons that require many types of ores, most of them only require one type of ore. Jun Changshao held his chin and muttered, "This cold iron is probably not cheap." As he said that, he clicked on the high-grade Overlord Spear's introduction. This was even simpler. It only required 500 kilograms of obsidian. Jun Changshao then clicked on the low-grade iron shield and suddenly grinned. Because the material required was iron ore. He did not have any cold iron or obsidian, but he had a lot of iron ore. After Li Luoqiu took care of the Shao family's mine, she brought a lot of it. It was worth a few 100,000 taels. From the amount shown, it was enough to forge 1,000 iron shields. Jun Changshao said, "This ore is useless anyway. Let's forge 500 shields first and give one to each disciple." The system reminded, iron ore is an indispensable auxiliary ore for forging weapons and equipment. It is recommended that the host use it sparingly. Is that so? Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, "Then let's forge 25 first. When we go to Death Valley, let the disciples all equip them." Chapter 173. Equipment in the Foundry Pavilion, as long as there are enough materials and fire seeds, can also be easily forged in one click. However, when Jun Changshao forged the first solid iron shield, it took him half an hour, so he broke down, "So slow." The system said, "If this sentence is heard by the professional foundry master of the Falling Star continent, they will definitely smash the host's head with a brick." "Why?" Jun Changshao asked. The system explained, "A professional foundry master needs at least 2 days to forge the lowest grade equipment, from smelting ores to repeatedly hammering. The host finished it in half an hour and still thinks it is slow, it will definitely irritate them." "Oh. Jun Changshao whispered, "Compared to 2 days, it is indeed not slow. Not only is it not slow, it is simply too fast." Schwa. With a thought, he took out the first-grade solid iron shield. It is a more conventional round shield, the size is similar to an ordinary pot lid, although it is made of iron ore, it is very light. There is a grip in the center of the shield. The shield is black outside, there is a groove in the center. With the experience of loading bullets, Jun Changshao immediately judged, this shield can be integrated with crystal core energy. Smart. The system said. Jun Changshao continued to let the foundry pavilion forge the second shield, then took out a low-grade crystal core and integrated the energy into the groove. After the energy was filled, streams of light spread out from the center, finally outlining a pattern similar to the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. At first glance, it seems to be coated with fluorescent powder. "Cool," Jun Changshao said. As soon as the voice fell, the streams of light suddenly weakened. Although the pattern was still on the shield, the color had turned gray. Jun Changshao said, "What's the situation?" The system said, "The host can pick up the shield and inject his mind into it to activate the defense function." Defense function? Jun Changshao put his palm on the inner grip of the shield, communicating with the shield with his mind. Whine. As soon as he touched it, a circular barrier similar to a formation barrier appeared, close to the front of the shield. Looking at the light barrier protecting him, Jun Changshao was shocked, "This is super cool. But how is the defense?" The system said, "The solid iron shield activates the defensive barrier, the defense strength is quite high." At this moment, Li Luoqiu walked in and asked, "Sect leader, what is this?" "Shield," Jun Changshao said. Of course, Li Luoqiu knew that it was a shield disc. She pointed at the flowing light barrier, which looked both real and illusory, and said, "I'm talking about this. Why does it look a bit like a formation?" Jun Changshao said, "Defensive barrier. Come." He raised his shield and turned around. "Take out your Desert Eagle and try shooting at my shield." Li Luoqiu laughed and said, "What if I break it and injure the sect leader?" "I can't break it," Jun Changshao said. For real? You're serious? Alright. Li Luoqiu raised her hand, and the desert eagle appeared out of thin air. Crack! He loaded the gun, aimed it at the defensive barrier, and fired without hesitation. Hall Masterly, who used to be an assassin, was clean and efficient. However, when she fired the gun, her bright eyes were filled with surprise, because the bullet hit the defensive barrier and did not cause any damage at all. How is it? Jun Changshao said, the defense is not bad, right? Li Luoqiu said in surprise, Sect leader, is your shield a mid-grade high-grade defensive treasure? Jun Changshao did not understand the quality of the low-grade solid iron shield, so he could only cooperate and said, yes, it's a mid-grade high-grade. No wonder. Li Luoqiu blinked and said with a smile, Sect leader, do you have a lot of shields? If you do, give a few to our drizzle hull. Jun Changshao withdrew his consciousness, and the defensive barrier disappeared. He said, we'll see how it goes in the future. Alright. Li Luoqiu shrugged. Why are you looking for me? Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu said, the vast Qi sect sent a message that Qin Haran left Azure Sun County. From the direction, it seems that he went to the Holy Spring sect. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, this guy suffered a big setback. Could it be that he wants to go to the Holy Spring sect to invite experts? Li Luoqiu said, that's possible. Jun Changshao shook his head and refuted his own conjecture. We have a duel with the Sacred Spring sect. If they claim to be a great sect, they definitely won't send experts here, because this will give people a reason to gossip. That's true. Li Luoqiu said. The entire Azure Sun County knew about the duel. The Holy Spring sect would definitely have some scruples. Otherwise, they would continue to send people to cause trouble after the Spirit Spring Mountain. Jun Chang said with a smile, in my opinion, Alliance Master Qin's trip this time is to ask the Sacred Spring sect to take care of our Iron Bone sect during the battle. Will a fifth-rate sect listen to a sixth-rate sect? Li Luoqiu said. They have a mouth under their nose and they make up their own content. Jun Changshao said, what's more, if Alliance Master Qin gives some benefits, the Holy Spring sect may be willing to accept. Li Luoqiu frowned slightly. So, if we go to the Holy Spring sect, the situation will become more troublesome. It doesn't matter. Jun Changshao didn't care. In his opinion, Qin Haran's methods were nothing. The Spirit Spring sect's methods were hateful and abominable. The forging pavilion worked non-stop for the whole night and forged another 24 shields. Although the hard iron shield was good, it needed crystal cores to form a barrier. Moreover, after taking a blow from the Desert Eagle, it consumed 1/10 of its energy. This meant that once the energy was exhausted, the defensive barrier would lose its effectiveness. Jun Changshao murmured, after entering Death Valley, the disciples can use it to defend against the attacks of the beasts. The next day, he summoned 25 disciples. Not counting the inner disciples and the 10 high-grade spiritual roots, the other 8 disciples were Zhou Hong, Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, Ling Yuanxue, and others. Jun Changshao distributed the shields one by one, then gave each of them a crystal core. After briefly explaining how to inject energy, he said, unless it's a critical moment, don't easily activate the defensive barrier to block. Yes. All the disciples shouted. He didn't give Zhou Hong a shield because this guy would definitely use a sword and not a shield. TSK, I'm a martial emperor, why would I use such a crude shield for defense? Yi Xingchen despised the hard iron shield very much. After all, in his previous life, he had never used a shield similar to the one used by mortal soldiers. Just imagine, a martial emperor who could fly and cover the sky with one hand, how degrading would it be to carry an iron shield? Why would I use such a crude thing? Back in the room, Yi Xingchen casually threw the hard iron shield in a corner. Outside. Su Xiaomao integrated the crystal core into the shield and activated the defensive barrier. He exclaimed, "This shield is so powerful." TSK, Yi Xingchen snorted coldly. But when he turned around, he glanced at the defensive barrier outside the window and said in shock, "This is a defensive treasure." Weapons were nothing more than sabers, spears, swords, and halberds. Treasures were more complicated. For example, Buddhist beads, seals, or even a seemingly ordinary bracelet could be called a treasure as long as it had special functions. A ring with storage space was also a treasure. The hard iron shield could activate the defensive barrier function, which meant that it was also a treasure. In the Falling Star continent, defensive and offensive treasures were more valuable than weapons of the same quality. Yi Xingchen hurriedly picked up the shield in the corner and poured the crystal core into it. When the defensive barrier was activated, he exclaimed, "A middle-grade high-grade defensive treasure." A low-grade hard iron shield was defined as a middle-grade high-grade. In terms of value, it was definitely comparable to a high-grade low-grade weapon. Yi Xingchen wasn't shocked by the quality, but by the fact that the sect leader had taken out 24 defensive treasures of this level. This guy was really something. Chapter 174. The disciple took the shield and left, leaving Ling Yuanxue alone. In the study, only she and Jun Changshao were left. Ling Yuanxue kept her head down, her small hands trembling slightly. This was the first time she was alone with the sect master. She was shy to begin with, so she must be very nervous now. Suddenly, there was a sound. Ling Yuanxue was startled and unconsciously took 2 steps back. Jun Changshao saw this and was speechless. "I just put the aptitude reforming liquid on the table and she got scared. She's too timid." Yuanxue. He held his chin and said, "What's your dream?" Why did the sect master ask about her dream again? Ling Yuanxue whispered, My dream is to cultivate martial arts and prove to you stinky." No, prove to all stinky men except the sect master. Jun Changshao said seriously, "Cultivating martial arts is not to prove to others, but to prove to yourself. Do you understand?" Understood. Jun Changshao slammed the table and said sternly, "Louder." Ling Yuanxue was almost scared to tears. She closed her eyes and said loudly, "Understood." Jun Changshao's tone became gentle. "Cultivating martial arts is about courage. When we go to Death Valley, I hope to see your brave and strong side." "Understood." Ling Yuanxue said. Jun Changshao said, "Drink this bottle of liquid." "Oh." Ling Yuanxue walked over step by step, then picked up the bottle of aptitude reforming liquid, opened the cork, and drank it. After a while, her face became incomparably red. Her spiritual root aptitude went from low grade to mortal grade, and her cultivation also went from level 10 to level 12. Ling Yuanxue stood there with her almond-shaped eyes. After each of the 24 disciples was equipped with an iron shield, Jun Changshao ordered them to continue their cultivation in order to prepare for the trip to Death Valley. As for Qingyang County, they were still talking about the Iron Bone Sect's victory over the Grand Qi sect. It was not until another big news spread that the limelight was overshadowed. What big news? 7 days later, the AI family auctioned off the body-shaping pills. This kind of elixir that could enhance one's physical strength had already spread around when Iron Bone went to challenge the Noble Spirit Gate. Then, it suddenly disappeared, and many people had almost forgotten about it. He could forget about it last time, but not this time. Because after the AI family confirmed the date of the auction, they carried out a large-scale publicity campaign. All kinds of praises and advertisements were used, giving people a feeling that it was very exaggerated. It was even more exaggerated. The AI clan's auction this time was different from the past. They directly announced the starting price of the body-shaping pill. How much? The starting price was 1 million taels. 1 million taels. That's too exaggerated. Even if a high-grade medicinal pill were to be auctioned, it wouldn't be able to fetch such a price. It's too extravagant. I can't afford it. If Jun Changshao were to be auctioned, the starting price would be 1 million taels of silver. Many martial artists would definitely think that Jun Changshao was crazy for money. However, the AI family was different. After all, they were an old and established family. Previously, they even had healing pills. When many martial artists heard of this news, they unanimously agreed that the effects of the body sculpting pill must be incomparably miraculous. If AI Shangyan used Iron Bone's disciple defeating the Noble Spirit Gate's disciple to advertise, it would cause an even bigger sensation. However, Sect leader Jun didn't authorize it, so he didn't dare to use it as a gimmick. 1 million taels of silver was already a huge gimmick. The large clans and sects in Azure Sun County that trusted the AI family enough naturally started to raise funds after receiving the news. Jun Changshao also received the news and laughed. The starting price is 1 million taels of silver. If the auction starts, I don't dare to imagine the final price. Li Luoqiu said, the body-shaping pills refined by the sect leader are very important to martial artists. With the AI family's help, those 4 body-shaping pills will probably fetch a sky-high price. Jun Changshao continued to develop in the sect. He wasn't interested in participating in the upcoming auction, mainly because he didn't want to show his face in public. Instead, he wanted to wait behind the scenes to collect money. 7 days later, the auction was held as scheduled. Because the AI family clearly stated that the body-shaping pills were only for martial artists in Azure Sun County, the other county forces only casually sent people to join in the fun when they heard the news. Everyone. Inside the auction house, AI Shang stood on the auction stage and said, I believe all of you already know the effects of the body-shaping pills even if I don't tell you. So, let's begin the auction. Schwa. He opened the brocade box and said loudly, the starting price of the first body-shaping pill is 1 million taels of silver. 1,100,000 taels. 1,200,000 taels. The intense bidding began. All the large clans and sects went all out. After all, there were only 4 body-shaping pills, which were even rarer than the healing pills. After the auction ended, the news was passed to Iron Bone. Jun Changshao learned that the 4 healing pills were sold for 10 million taels of silver. Only 2,500,000 taels of silver per pill. He shook his head and said, it doesn't seem too high. Li Luoqiu said, the AI family's auction this time is limited to Azure Sun County. They didn't allow any other county forces to participate. It's already good that they managed to sell it for 10 million taels of silver. That's true. Jun Changshao felt relieved. 10 million taels of silver was split 40 to 60. He could earn 4 million taels of silver. This was like picking up money. That wasn't all. After the body-shaping pills, the AI family continued to auction the healing pills. Although the other county forces didn't participate and the 10 healing pills couldn't reach the price of 6 million taels of silver, they still managed to sell for 4 million taels of silver. The AI family did this to take care of the other county forces so that they wouldn't complain all day. Sect Master Li Qingyang reported, the AI family head is here to visit again. Actually, it would be more appropriate to say, the AI family head is here to give money again. After AI Shangyao entered the main hall, he first handed over 6 million taels of silver. Jun Changshao liked to work with the AI family, so he directly gave them 50 bottles of healing pills and 10 bottles of body-shaping pills. When AI Shangyao received the money, his hands started to tremble uncontrollably. With so many pills, the profit they could earn from auctioning them off every once in a while was unimaginable. Pay 10 times the penalty to the Shao family? Bullshit. As long as they could form a good relationship with Sect Master Jun, they wouldn't care even if they had to pay 20 times the penalty. AI Shanyao left happily and began to plan for a bigger auction. On the way, he had already decided that the next auction would be open to the public and the healing pills would not be limited to Azure Sun County. The matter of the auction gradually faded away with the passage of time. With the help of the craftsmen, the renovation of the outer courtyard of the Iron Bones sect had also been completed. The grounds had become bigger and there were more pavilions. Especially the main hall, which had been renovated to be even more majestic and dazzling. The foundation of a sect was all in the main hall. Therefore, after challenging the vast Qi sect, Li Qingyang focused all his energy on the main hall. Why? Because the outer courtyard grounds and pavilions could be expanded and built at will, but the main hall had to remain in place. Therefore, if he wanted to renovate it, he had to do it in one step. Li Qingyang's idea was very correct. After the main hall was renovated twice, it would be a long time before it was renovated again. Not bad, not bad. Standing in the incomparably spacious and majestic main hall, Jun Changshao smiled with satisfaction. Sect Master. Li Qingyang said, this disciple has already drawn up the blueprint for a larger scale renovation. We can carry out the third renovation at any time. This is very good. We will talk about it after the third renovation. Jun Changshao paused for a moment and said, pass down the order. Let the specially trained disciples have a good night's rest. We will set off for Death Valley tomorrow. Chapter 175. There were still more than 10 days left before the 2-month time limit set by the epic mission. Death Valley was quite far away, and they would have to travel for a while. Therefore, Jun Changshao decided to set off tomorrow. The 25 disciples had improved quite well, especially the 10 middle-grade disciples, all of whom had become 5th-grade martial disciples. Because there weren't many 10-fold Qi gathering pills, they took the quintuple ones, so their speed couldn't be compared to Li Qingyang and the others who went to Haoqi's sect for training. If he had joined the other sects during the 100 sects recruitment, it would have been his limit to enter the martial disciple stage from the meridian opening stage. Therefore, the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples were very content and grateful. Long Xiang and Li Yuhua also improved quite well. One became a 5th-grade martial disciple, and the other became a 4th-grade martial disciple. Especially Li Yuhua, after a month of training, not only did he cultivate a strong physical defense, but he also became very agile. Su Xiaoma and the others wanted to kick him with a football, so they had to use at least 70 to 80% of their strength. After Ling Yuanxue took the aptitude-changing liquid, she relied on the Qi revolving pill to break through to martial disciple, and later on, she became a 3rd-grade martial disciple. These were all outer sect disciples. Although the 7 inner sect disciples didn't have the 10-fold Qi gathering pills, their improvement in the past month was quite good. Yi Xingchen became a 9th-grade martial disciple, the same as Li Qingyang. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi were all 8th-grade martial disciples, and Xiao Ziji was a 6th-grade martial disciple. As for Lu Qianqian, in her words, she was a 4th-grade martial disciple. She was able to turn her spiritual power into small fists in Haoqi sect, so no one thought that her strength was only a 4th-grade martial disciple. Of course. In the past month, the other disciples also improved quite well. Disciples with average aptitudes like Li Tian and Sima Zhongda also became 2nd-grade and 3rd-grade martial disciples. The last batch of disciples entered the 10th stage of the meridian opening realm with the help of Yi Jin Jing, body tempering pill, and meridian opening pill. They weren't far from all 12th stage martial disciples. Could they raise the sect's level? They couldn't. The certification requirements for a 7th-grade sect were, the sect master, 50 martial disciples, and 512-stage meridian opening realm disciples. Just based on the first point, he failed. Therefore, Jun Changshao had to complete the epic quest no matter what so that he could become a martial master. Moreover, based on the first mission he completed, if he completed the second epic mission, he might directly break through to the next realm. The next day, after the 25 disciples ate the breakfast prepared by Lu Wanshi, they left the iron bone under the lead of Jun Changshao. After the other disciples saw him off, they continued to cultivate. They hoped that they could become stronger faster so that they could follow their senior brothers out to gain experience in the future. Li Luoqiu oversaw the sect. However, after watching Jun Changshao and the others leave, he said to himself, Death Valley is full of danger. I hope I can return safely. Death Valley was notorious. She had brought so many people there to train. It was hard for her not to think that some of her disciples might never return. Scared? On the way, Jun Changshao said. I'm not afraid. The disciples shouted in unison. Even though they knew that this trip would be extremely dangerous, they weren't afraid in the slightest, because they had steel bones. Death Valley was in the south of Azure Sun County. It was at least 1,000 miles away from Azure Sun City. As there was still plenty of time, Jun Changshao wasn't in a hurry. Occasionally, they would stop to admire the beautiful scenery when they passed by. It had to be said that in a world full of spiritual energy, the scenery in the wilderness was pleasant, making people forget to return. When Jun Changshao brought his disciples to a waterfall, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. He immediately recited a poem. The sun shines and the incense burner produces purple smoke. I look at the waterfall hanging in front of me. Flying down 3,000 feet, I think the Milky Way falls from the ninth heaven. The disciples were stunned. It turned out that the sect leader knew how to compose poems. Su Xiaoma and the others didn't come from a big family, so they had limited knowledge. They only felt that the poem sounded very good. Flying down 3,000 feet, I think the Milky Way falls from the ninth heaven. Long Xiang carefully savored it and clapped his hands. Wonderful, wonderful. Lu Qianqian, who was always cold, heard Jun Changshao's poem, and her eyes were filled with surprise. In the Falling Star continent, there were many martial artists, but cultured people like him weren't easy to find. Sect leader is so awesome. Ling Yuanxue didn't follow the procedure and directly worshipped him. If the system had acting tough points, sect leader Jun would have gained a lot of points by reciting Li Bai's poem. Rustle, rustle, rustle. In the beautiful mountain forest, Xiao Zuiji carried his Type 88 sniper rifle and sprinted forward. He stopped in front of a tree, set up his gun, and pulled the trigger. Xiao, with the silencer, the bullet shot out silently and accurately hit a goat that was running in the distance. Swish! Su Xiaoma rushed over and carried the goat to a small stream. He skillfully skinned and deboned the goat. After finishing, he hung the goat on a tree branch. Zhou Hong walked over. Sword shadows permeated the air, instantly slicing the man into pieces. Before the goat fell off, a few disciples went over with bamboo baskets and caught the pieces. Swish! 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 They used bamboo skewers to skewer the goat and brought it to the sect leader. Jun Changshao placed the goat skewers on a makeshift barbecue table and released the exquisite fire. He began to rotate the skewers continuously. Xiao Ziji opened fire. Zhou Hong drew his sword. The disciples were busy as if they were facing a great enemy. They were just barbecuing. Little mo. Jun Changshao shouted, "Where's the kidney?" Su Xiaoma, who was standing by the stream, said, "Sect leader, I threw away all the internal organs." Damn! Jun Changshao said, "What a waste." Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. "My sect leader, you used a bullet to barbecue the meat with the exquisite fire. This is what you call a waste. Extremely boring." Yi Xingqian, who was sitting in the distance, didn't care. Not long after, the skewers were cooked. Jun Changshao sprinkled chili and cumin and said, "Come and try my barbecue skills." The disciples living in the Falling Star continent had never seen such barbecue before. So, they all curiously took a skewer and ate it. Then, they praised it. Junior brother Yi. Li Qingyang handed over the goat skewers and said, "You should try it too." Tsk, Yi Xingchen took it reluctantly, took a bite, and then, well, ate the rest. No one could resist the temptation of delicious food, not even the cold martial emperor. He could compose poems and barbecue skewers. The disciples' adoration for the sect leader was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. After the barbecue in the wild, Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples and stopped in front of the fog-shrouded Death Valley the next day. The words, Death Valley, were engraved on the stone wall at the entrance of the valley. The color was red, as if it was dyed with blood. Whoosh! Cold wind blew and poured into the entrance of the valley, forming a sound like ghosts crying and wolves howling. In front of the valley, many martial artists were hesitating. When they saw Jun Changshao and the others coming, they immediately whispered to each other. Iron Bone. Sect leader Jun brought so many disciples here. Is he going to enter Death Valley to train? Without Wuzong, going in rashly is suicide. Chapter 176. Death Valley not only had ferocious beasts but also large amounts of medicinal herbs, ores, and crystal cores. Every day, it would attract cultivators who were not afraid of death. They definitely did not dare to enter alone, so they would often recruit members at the entrance of the valley. If they could come out alive, they would split the loot equally. Unfortunately, after entering, very few people could come out alive to split the loot equally. Even so, it could not stop the enthusiasm of the cultivators. Every time, they would rush over like moths to a flame. Rogue cultivators had no clan or sect to protect them, so they could only rely on themselves. It was very common for them to go to the wilderness to earn resources. There are quite a lot of people. Jun Changshao stopped in front of the valley with 25 disciples. Sect Master Jun, a cultivator, shouted, "You want to bring the disciples into the valley?" Jun Changshao said, "That's right." That person said, "Death Valley is a forbidden area in Azure Sun County. It's very dangerous." Sect Master Jun, "With so few people, I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it." Jun Changshao said, "It's not the number of people, it's the quality." Quality? Everyone shook their heads. They knew that Li Qingyang and a few others in Iron Bone were quite strong. As for the other disciples, they would be sending themselves to their deaths if they went in. They might even be a burden. Jun Changshao naturally would not explain, nor would he let the disciples show their strength to them. He said, "Disciples, follow me into the valley." With that, he strode into Death Valley. 25 disciples of the Iron Bone faction entered in an orderly manner under the watchful eyes of the crowd. There's not a single martial master. They'll be sending themselves to their deaths if they go in. Last year, Alliance Master Qin brought his disciples here for training. After they went out, more than 10 of them died. Sect Master Jun probably thinks that he can do whatever he wants in Azure Sun County after defeating Haoqi Sect. He's still too young. He'll know his own worth when he suffers a big loss. I'm afraid they'll all be wiped out and never come out again. Everyone discussed in low voices. They were not optimistic about Iron Bone's training in Death Valley. With them leading the way, we can follow behind and pick up scraps. If the situation doesn't look good, we can retreat immediately. Yes, yes. Many small teams believed that this was a good opportunity, and they all set out to enter Death Valley. In an instant, there were only a dozen or so people left at the entrance of the valley. They didn't go in because they were worried that Iron Bone wouldn't be able to hold on. If that happened, they wouldn't even have a chance to retreat. Those who dared to go in were gambling, while those who didn't were seeking stability. The entrance to Death Valley was a narrow passageway that resembled a canyon. It was filled with a faint mist, and occasionally, a cold wind would blow, giving people a gloomy feeling. Jun Changshao raised his hand as he walked in. Shua! Shua! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua walked over. He stood in a triangular formation with the sect leader and placed the low-grade iron shield in front of him. 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples stood on both sides of the team and raised their iron shields. The rogue cultivators who were following behind shook their heads when they saw the iron bone disciples advancing step by step with their shields raised. The vicious beasts in the valley were incomparably cruel. This kind of iron shield would not be able to withstand their attacks at all. When the time came, it would only hinder them. All of a sudden, wolf howls could be heard from above the canyon, and numerous earth flame wolves appeared, stepping on flames. Oh no! It's a pack of earth flame wolves. They shouldn't be at the entrance. Many martial artists turned pale with fright and immediately retreated. They even had the intention of leaving the cave. They were not sure if they could escape. There were more than 100 earth flame wolves gathered above. It would be difficult to escape if they were targeted. If they had known that they would be treated like this as soon as they entered the valley, they would not have followed them even if they were beaten to death. The rogue cultivators were now filled with regret. However, they were fortunate that after the earth flame wolves appeared, their cold eyes locked onto the iron bone disciples in front of them. With them attracting their attention, there was a high chance that they would be able to escape. The wolf howls could be heard again. More than 100 earth flame wolves seemed to have received an order. They immediately charged down with flames on their feet, baring their teeth. Jun Changshao raised his hand with a smile on his face. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang and the other inner disciples brandished their cold-edged swords. The outer disciples who did not have weapons raised their shields and formed a defense on both sides. An earth flame wolf that was comparable to a second-grade martial disciple was the first to charge. However, when it was still in mid-air, its head exploded and its body fell to the ground with a bang. Darlings! Jun Changshao withdrew his desert eagle and said, "It's time to show off my real skills." Swoosh! An earth flame wolf's sharp claws gathered flames as it pounced towards him. Whoosh! With a flash of the sword, its head was separated from its body. Li Qingyang held his sword and stood in front of the sect leader. His eyes were cold. Puchi! Su Xiaomao charged forward. With a flash of his sword, an earth flame wolf's head was chopped off. When he went on a sect mission before, he could only dodge with his meridian opening cultivation. Now that he was facing a stronger earth flame wolf, he could easily kill it. This was the best proof of his increase in strength. Tian Qi, Li Fei, and the others also started to attack. In the narrow passage, sword lights flashed frequently. Puchi! Puchi! One by one, the earth flame wolves were killed. Fresh blood splattered on the stone wall, emitting a nauseating smell. When the martial artists who were running back saw the iron bone disciples killing the earth flame wolves as if they were chopping vegetables, their expressions froze. "Senior brother, be careful." At this moment, Li Yuhua rushed over with her shield and knocked away the earth flame wolf that was attacking Su Xiaomao from the side. Boom! The earth flame wolf crashed into the stone wall and fell to the ground, twitching. Oh my God! What kind of impact is that? It can paralyze an earth flame wolf. Everyone exclaimed. Boom! Another collision sound was heard. They saw Xiao Ziji dashing forward with his shield and knocking away 3 earth flame wolves, killing them on the spot. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Just by relying on the impact of an iron shield, the force formed from the impact was enough to kill an earth flame wolf. He's Xiao Ziji. No wonder he's so powerful. He's the champion of the sect competition. Everyone was relieved. However, when they saw the weaponless disciples of the Iron Bone sect holding up their shields and colliding head-on with the incoming ground fire wolves and sending them flying again and again, they were all shocked. They are all fucking freaks. Look, that female disciple seems to be scared. Someone noticed Ling Yuanxue. Although she was holding her shield, her hands and legs were trembling. Right. Facing so many earth flame wolves, this was normal. Whoa. At this moment, an earth flame wolf jumped down, and its target was Ling Yuanxue. This is bad. Without the help of her fellow disciples, this girl is definitely unlucky. While everyone was guessing, Ling Yuanxue noticed an earth flame wolf attacking her. She closed her eyes and rushed over with her shield. Ah! Bang! Because Ling Yuanxue's speed was very fast, when she hit the earth flame wolf, it was stuck in front of the stone wall. Ah! Bang! 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 She closed her eyes and repeatedly attacked with her shield. Soon, the earth flame wolf's skin was torn open. The itinerant martial artists behind were all dumbfounded. This girl was too violent. Chapter 177. Many earth flame wolves charged down from both sides, but they were either killed or rammed to death by the iron bone disciples. In just a moment, dozens of corpses were scattered on the road. The rogue cultivators behind were dumbfounded. Iron bone was simply too terrifying. The earth flame wolves jumped down one after another as if they were rushing to their deaths. Whoa! The wolves howled again, and the earth flame wolves immediately stopped attacking. They stood on the mountain wall, opened their mouths, and began to gather fire spirit energy. Realizing that the crowd below was very strong, they chose to bombard them with long-range fireballs. This was a very smart choice. There are so many earth flame wolves spitting fire at the same time. There's no way to dodge. Iron bone is finished. Everyone hurriedly retreated to the entrance of the valley. However, they did not leave immediately. They wanted to see what Iron Bone had in mind. Bang! Bang! At this moment, dozens of earth flame wolves spat fireballs at the same time. The scorching heat instantly dispersed the thin fog. Iron Bone disciples raised their shields to block the attacks, but they did not activate the defensive barrier. The sect leader had said that they should not waste the energy of the crystal cores. The rogue cultivators' mouths twitched. Brother, that's fire energy. If you use your iron shields to block the attacks, the heat alone will be scorching, not to mention whether you can withstand the attacks. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the flames spat out from both sides accurately hit the iron shields. The flames were dispersed and extinguished like blooming fireworks. The disciples with the iron shields stood where they were and were not sent flying. Disdain was written all over their faces. Another wolf howl was heard. Huff, huff. The dozens of earth flame wolves seemed to have received an order. They opened their mouths to gather fire energy again and spat it at the iron bone disciples below. Unfortunately, the second fireball was stronger than the previous one. It was blocked by the iron shields again. The disciples stood where they were, unharmed. As for the heat? Sorry, the iron shields did not conduct heat. Bang! Bang! After the earth flame wolves' attacks failed, they continued to spit fireballs. For a moment, fire energy shot down like rain. The iron bone disciples gradually gathered together as they blocked the attacks. Their shields connected to each other, forming a perfect defense. The wolf howled again. Jun Changxiao was annoyed and said, Zueji, get rid of that guy. Shua. Xiao Zueji summoned his Type 88 sniper rifle and placed it directly on his shield. The 8x scope locked onto the howling earth flame wolf on the mountain, and he immediately pulled the trigger. Whoosh! A silent bullet shot out from the muzzle at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye, accurately hitting the earth flame wolf's head. The howling stopped abruptly. Boom! The earth flame wolf that had been shot fell from the mountain and landed in front of the iron bone disciples' shields. Judging from its size, it was much larger than its peers. Oh my God! The earth fire wolf king died just like that. Could this be Iron Bone's god-powered gun? Everyone was shocked. Iron Bone was very famous in Azure Sun County. The Type 88 sniper rifle that smashed the Wuxia Sect signboard was also a hot topic among many martial artists. After the Earth Flame Wolf King that had given the order was killed, dozens of Earth Flame Wolves seemed to have gone mad. They did not care about spitting fire anymore and pounced on them with bared fangs and brandished claws. Put away your shields and kill. Jun Changshao said calmly. Shwa shwa shwa. The Iron Bone disciples carried their shields on their backs and channeled their spiritual energy into their fists to fight the Earth Flame Wolves that were pouncing on them. Bang! Bang! Li Yuhua, who was the meat shield, was the first to rush over. She used her rupturing fist and punched left and right, directly smashing the heads of 2 Earth Flame Wolves. Although the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples did not have any weapons, they still killed the Earth Flame Wolves with their bare hands. Moreover, all of them were headshots. When one's strength reached a certain level, even the toughest skull would be smashed. For a moment, brains and blood splattered everywhere. It was a bloody scene. Ah ah. Ling Yuanxue also imitated her senior brothers and punched an Earth Flame Wolf until its body caved in and its internal organs were shattered. Only then did she bravely open her eyes. The itinerant cultivators in the distance twitched their mouths violently. They thought that the quality of the iron shield used by the Iron Bone disciples was extraordinary since they could withstand the attacks of the Earth Flame Wolves. Now that they saw the shield and fought, they knew that it was really powerful. More than 10 minutes later, the dozens of frenzied Earth Flame Wolves all died in front of the Iron Bone disciples. The originally narrow path was filled with corpses. Blood flowed and gathered into a river. The air was filled with a nauseating smell. Wah! Seeing so much blood, Ling Yuanxue leaned against the mountain wall and vomited. Take out the crystal cores, Jun Changshao ordered. Yes. The disciples started to move. They cut open the bodies of the Earth Flame Wolves and took out the crimson crystal cores one by one. In total, they obtained more than 50 crystal cores. The itinerant cultivators who were hiding in the distance were full of envy. Every single crystal core was money. Sect leader Su Xiaomua held the crystal core of the Earth Flame Wolf King and said with a smile, "This is not bad." Jun Changshao put it into his spatial ring and snapped his fingers, "Let's continue forward." Everyone followed the sect leader with excitement in their eyes. When they were facing the Earth Flame Wolves, they were very nervous. After the battle, their blood was boiling. Ever since they joined the Iron Bone, these disciples had been cultivating. Today, they came to Death Valley to train. It was undoubtedly the time to prove their strength. After Jun Changshao left with the disciples, the itinerant cultivators who wanted to retreat gathered their courage and followed. When they came to the ground full of Earth Flame Wolf corpses, they were still shocked. More than 100 Earth Flame Wolves that were comparable to martial disciples were killed by them so quickly. This was too terrifying. Shwa! Shwa! Many itinerant cultivators took out their daggers and began to skin and bone the wolves. Although the most precious crystal cores and the Earth Flame Wolf King's corpse were taken away, these things could still be sold in the market and made some money. Needless to say, the martial artists who gathered their courage and followed in seemed to have some gains. At least the Iron Bone could eat the meat, and they could drink the leftovers. The path in the valley was not long. Jun Changshao led the disciples out quickly. What appeared in their field of vision was a dense forest covered in a faint mist. Roar! Vaguely, they could hear the roars of ferocious beasts. The ground under their feet was dark red, as if it was left behind by blood. Piles of human and beast bones were scattered around, emitting a gloomy and strange aura. This was the interior of Death Valley, a place that was regarded as a forbidden area. Jun Changshao said seriously, "Be alert at all times." Yes. The disciples gradually spread out and kept a distance from each other, forming a defensive formation with the sect leader as the center. Whoosh! At this moment, a black light darted out from the darkness and blocked their path. It was a huge leopard beast with black fur and a pair of cold eyes. Sect leader. Li Qingyan whispered, "This is a black-skinned leopard." Roar! The black-skinned leopard roared and suddenly rushed over. Its front claws were stretched out, carrying with them the power to tear everything apart. Sinful self, go. Yes. Ta ta ta. Xiao Ziji rushed out of the defensive formation and directly grabbed the leopard's front limbs. His 10 fingers were like iron pliers, and he threw it to the ground. Roar! The black-skinned leopard cried out in pain. However, because its front limbs were grabbed, it could not get up at all. In the end, it was ruthlessly thrown to the ground. Bang! 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 After being thrown to the ground, this black-skinned leopard that was comparable to a peak martial disciple could no longer get up. Its body twitched violently and it died. Chapter 178. The rogue cultivators who followed behind them entered Death Valley and happened to see Xiao Ziji beating up the Black Panther. Their mouths suddenly opened wide. Oh my God! A beast comparable to a peak martial disciple was actually ravaged by him. Shwa! Xiao Ziji tore open the Black Panther's chest with his bare hands and took out the crystal core in its heart. The rogue cultivator's eyes suddenly became hot. That was a beast comparable to a peak martial disciple's crystal core. It could be exchanged for several spirit stones. Of course. No one would think of robbing it. After all, they would definitely die if they tried. Jun Changshao led his disciples into the forest step by step. The moment he stepped into Death Valley, the epic mission entered a 7-day countdown, so he had to find the 4 types of beasts as soon as possible. Shwa! Shwa! As soon as Jun Changshao and his disciples left, a small group of rogue cultivators rushed over and skillfully peeled off the Black Panther's fur. The fur of a peak martial disciple was much more valuable than the earth flame wolf. Those who were slow were immediately annoyed. Let's go, let's follow. Iron bone is so strong, there must be good things. Let's pick up the scraps. Everyone hurriedly followed and kept a certain distance. Ta! Suddenly, Jun Changshao stopped and turned around. Everyone, it seems a little inappropriate to follow behind Iron Bone to pick up scraps, right? Hee hee. A warrior scratched his head and said, "Sect leader Jun, can't we follow Iron Bone to drink the soup while you eat the meat?" Jun Changshao said, "You can drink the soup, but everyone has to pay 1,000 taels. You can pick up whatever Iron Bone doesn't want." 1,000 taels. That warrior collapsed. Sect leader Jun, isn't it a little expensive? Jun Changshao said, "If you think it's expensive, you can take the lead. Iron Bone will give you 1,000 taels each to follow behind and pick up scraps." This, everyone's mouth twitched. They really wanted to agree. After all, more than 20 people would cost 20,000 taels. But, they didn't have the ability to take the lead. Jun Changshao said, "You don't want to pay, yet you want to take advantage of the situation. There's no such good thing in this world. So if you dare to follow me again, don't blame me for being ruthless." All the disciples were very cooperative, glaring angrily at him. After witnessing how the Iron Bone disciples fought valiantly against the pack of Earth Flame wolves, the rogue practitioners were so shocked that they took a few steps back. Sect Master Jun, the martial artist said, "We will give you 1,000 taels. If you can't find enough, won't you be a fool?" Jun Changshao said indifferently, "There's no other way. Picking up scraps depends on luck. These words caused everyone to break down. We will give it to you. The 5 small groups of martial artists who had obtained the Black Panther fur agreed and paid 5,000 taels. After all, they had already tasted the benefits. Following him in was a gamble. Giving him 1,000 taels was still a bet. More than 30 rogue cultivators struggled internally for a while before they each took out 1,000 taels of silver. After pocketing more than 30,000 taels of silver, Jun Changshao reminded them, "Remember, your duty is to pick up scraps. If you take something you shouldn't take, it will be very tragic. Rest assured, Sect Master Jun. We definitely won't take anything we shouldn't take." Everyone patted their chests and promised. Suddenly, another wolf howl was heard. Streaks of crimson light appeared in the fog-shrouded forest in front of them, looking very frightening. Thud, thud. Wolf beasts that were even larger than the earth flame wolves walked out of the shadows. Their fur was crimson red, like a cluster of flames. Their crimson eyes emitted a ruthless aura. Oh no, it's a pack of crimson flame wolves. The rogue cultivators turned pale with fright. The earth flame wolves belonged to a relatively low-level wolf pack. Their strength was generally 1 to 3 grades lower. The crimson flame wolves belonged to a high-level wolf pack. Their strength was at least 6 grades lower. In other words, the crimson flame wolves that appeared were not weaker than the earth flame wolf king. Moreover, their use of fire was much better than the earth flame wolves. When they were angry, they could directly spit out fire pillars. It's over, it's over. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have given them 1,000 taels. The rogue cultivators didn't care about picking up the leftovers, nor did they care about the banknotes. They hurriedly ran towards the entrance and entered the canyon tunnel. During this time, no one turned back. They were even annoyed that they didn't grow 2 more legs. They ran away just like that. Jun Changshao scratched his head and said, "Didn't I just earn tens of thousands of taels for nothing?" The disciples were speechless. Li Qingyang said, "Sect Master, there are at least 50 crimson flame wolves. Their strength is not weaker than a 6th-grade martial disciple. It's a bit tricky. Then what are you waiting for?" Jun Changshao took a step back and said, "Hurry up and find a place that's easy to defend and hard to attack." Whoosh! Whoosh! The disciples hurriedly looked around and quickly found that the left side of the mountain wall behind them was concave. They hurriedly rushed over and occupied this advantageous position. Howl! Just as they were about to set up the defense, a furious howl suddenly came from inside. The crimson flame wolves that were about to attack heard the howl. Fear appeared in their crimson eyes and their footsteps slowed down. Whoosh! At the end of the mountain wall, a resting bear was awakened. It straightened its 5-meter-tall body and its eyes flashed with an ominous glint. "Second-grade mountain-back bear," Li Qingyang said in surprise. Second-grade mountain-back bear was equal to a second-grade martial master. Judging from its physique and ominous glint, it was indeed Chinibu. Damn it! Jun Changshao took out the desert eagle and was about to kill this guy that shouldn't exist. At this moment, Yi Xingqian tiptoed on the stone wall and leaped into the air. The hand that was holding the sword hilt suddenly waved. Whoosh 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 whoosh. In an instant, sword shadows spread out and all of them landed accurately on the chest of the mountain-back bear. Zhou Hong said in surprise, 30 swords in one breath. Yi Xingqian was able to achieve 24 swords in one breath last time. Now that he had achieved 30 swords, it could be seen that he had a deeper understanding of the linear sword formula. As a sword cultivator, Zhou Hong comprehended the sword every day. After a month, he only managed to break through from 23 swords to 25 swords. Don't underestimate the extra 2 swords. If it were other sword cultivators, they might not be able to improve even after a few months, years, or even a lifetime. Swoosh! Yi Xingqian landed gracefully. Oh my God, Senior Brother Ye's swords are so fast. The outer disciples exclaimed one after another. Soon, their expressions stiffened because after the sword shadows disappeared, the mountain-back bear was completely fine. It raised its paw and smashed down. Senior Brother Yi, be careful. Everyone exclaimed. Clang. At this moment, Yi Xingqian sheathed his sword gracefully. At the same time, a dense wound appeared on the chest of the mountain-back bear behind him. There were exactly 30 wounds. Swoosh! Blood spurted out. The mountain-back bear's body lost connection with its heart. The power gathered in it suddenly dissipated, and its consciousness gradually disappeared. Its tall body fell down like a mountain. Yi Xingqian said indifferently, "Crude ordinary beast. Senior Brother Yi, be careful." Huh. Yi Xingqian felt that the sky had darkened. When he looked back, he saw that the crude ordinary beast didn't fall backward or to the left or right. Instead, it fell forward. Whoosh whoosh. Boom! Yi Xingqian, who was in the middle of showing off, was careless and didn't dodge. He was immediately crushed by the mountain-back bear. Night Emperor, how sad. P.S. Because I have to update 2 books at the same time every day, my energy is really limited. I can only try my best to update more. Requesting recommendation votes, requesting monthly votes. Chapter 179. Yi Xingqian, who used the linear speed technique and slashed 30 times in a breath, instantly killed the mountain-back bear. It could be said that he was quite powerful. If the rogue cultivators who did not escape saw this, they would definitely be deeply shocked. Of course. They would also see the scene of Yi Xingqian being pressed to the ground by the heavy corpse. Quickly carry it away, don't take up the space. Jun Changshao said. Li Yuhua's muscle strength exploded as she lifted the mountain-back bear, which weighed almost 10,000 pounds, and threw it back to where it was sleeping. Poor little bear, if it had pretended to sleep, it would not have been destroyed. There was no other way. Who asked it to meet a group of ruthless people? Swoosh! Yi Xingqian jumped up from the ground and patted the dust off. He flicked his slightly messy hair and said indifferently, "Rough, ordinary beast." Even if it was very embarrassing, he had to continue acting cool. Wu, sensing that the mountain-back bear's aura had disappeared, the dozens of red flame wolves stopped and roared in unison. Immediately, they spread their limbs and charged forward, dragging flaming streams of light behind them. Although they did not release any flames, the temperature of the area increased by a lot as they charged forward. Xiao Ziji stood at the indentation with his shield in front of him. His eyes were shining with excitement. He liked this kind of dangerous experience because it was more interesting than cultivating in silence. He could also test his strength during this period of time. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaomao, and the others stood at the back with their shields raised. Xiao Ziji was the first line of defense, and they were the second line of defense. Whoosh! At this moment, 2 red flame wolves rushed over. Their slender and sharp claws extended from their forelimbs and tore at the shield in front of them. Ta! Xiao Ziji raised his shield and rushed forward, fiercely knocking the attacking red flame wolf away. Swoosh! At this moment, another red flame wolf rushed over. Its sharp claws directly scratched the sturdy iron shield, making a sound that made goosebumps rise. Although the defensive barrier was not activated, the sturdy iron shield's defense was still very strong. There were no scratches on the surface of the shield. On the other hand, the red flame wolf's claws were curled up after the fierce scratches. It was in so much pain that it howled. Whoosh! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xiao Ziji raised his shield and swung his sword with his left hand, directly chopping off the head. Then, he raised his shield in front of him. Boom! Boom! The crimson flame wolves that came after Xiao Ziji crashed into the shield with their bodies. Although the impact was strong, Xiao Ziji did not move at all. Shwa! 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 In the blink of an eye, another 3 scarlet flame wolves charged at him with their powerful bodies. Only then was he forced to take a step back to the first line of defense. Awo! 2 smart scarlet flame wolves leaped up, wanting to jump behind Xiao Ziji, but just as they leaped over, 2 cold-edged swords pierced towards them. Puchi! Puchi! The cold-edged sword pierced through his abdomen. As his body rushed forward, a deep sword wound appeared, causing blood to spurt out. Fortunately, Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomo reacted quickly and raised their shields to block the dirty blood. The disciple behind him didn't have time to raise his shield, and was immediately splashed with blood, looking very miserable. Boom! Boom! Another few scarlet flame wolves attacked, but they were all blocked by Xiao Ziji at the first line of defense. Because of his powerful body, he was able to stand his ground. Originally, there was a possibility of being attacked from all sides. However, because of the terrain, the Iron Bone disciples could avoid being surrounded by enemies as long as they guarded the notch. The weakness was also very obvious. The notch was too narrow, and most of the disciples could only hide inside, unable to launch an effective attack. Sinji, Yuhua. Jun Changshao said, "The 2 of you rush out and open up the space." Yes. Li Yuhua walked out from the back and raised her shield with Xiao Ziji, blocking the incoming scarlet flame wolves. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomo followed with their swords and shields. As long as a scarlet flame wolf was knocked to the side by the shield, they would not hesitate to chop off the wolf's head with their swords. Zhou Hong also came out and placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. Jun Changshao said, "You don't have to do anything, just leave it to them." Although they came to Death Valley to complete the epic mission, they also had the intention to train the disciples. This sword genius was very powerful, and he killed all the scarlet flame wolves in one go. How could they train the disciples? Zhou Hong understood and retracted his hand. With the main tank Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua advancing with their shields, the space gradually opened up. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaomo, and the rest rushed out of the notch and formed an arc defense. It was undoubtedly difficult to change from a single defense line to a 3-sided defense line. Fortunately, the Iron Bone disciples were very powerful. As long as the scarlet flame wolves rushed over, they would be hit and killed by the cold-edged sword. It was good to have equipment. If they were unarmed, they would have been chased all over Death Valley by the wolves. Relying on the iron shield and the terrain, the first attack of the scarlet flame wolves ended with more than 20 casualties. Awo! A loud wolf howl was heard again, as if it was an order. Dozens of scarlet flame wolves stood in the distance, and their furs suddenly became as red as blood. Huff huff. Scorching heat waves spread out in all directions. Li Qingyang said seriously, "They are condensing flames, everyone must be careful." Zui Ji, give me the gun. Shwa. Jun Changshao took the Type 88 sniper rifle and walked to the gap between Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua's defense. He raised the gun and placed his eyes on the 8x scope. The wolf howl just now was definitely the wolf king of the scarlet flame wolves. Find it and kill it. With his 8x scope, he could even see the leaves a few hundred meters away clearly. Soon, Jun Changshao found the scarlet flame wolf king on a big tree in the distance. From its eyes, it seemed to be no weaker than the mountain-back bear. Damn it! You dare to bully my iron bone. After checking the crosshair, Jun Changshao pulled the trigger. Xiao! The flowing photon bullet shot out without a sound. But through the 8x scope, the Scarlet Flame Wolf King seemed to have smelled the danger in advance and actually jumped to the tree next to it. Damn it! The control is so smooth. Jun Changxiao's crosshair followed and directly fired in the process. This really felt like a sniper. Shwa! The Scarlet Flame Wolf King could really smell the danger. The moment the bullet erupted, it quickly dodged. Its red eyes were filled with contempt. Damn it! Jun Changshao felt that he was being looked down upon. He pulled the trigger again. As a result, he fired several shots and ran out of bullets, but the opponent was still one step faster than him. Xiao Ziji, who was using his shield to block the shots, although he couldn't see who the sect leader was aiming at, but after firing 4 shots in a row, he judged that he should have missed. Oh my god! The sect leader has godlike marksmanship. After firing so many shots, the target must be very strong. Damn it! Jun Changshao secretly cursed. Since he got the Type 88 sniper rifle, this was the first time he missed a target. Moreover, it was under the situation of firing several shots in a row. The system said, the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's senses and reaction are very strong. The host's chance of hitting from a long distance is very low. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao took out the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's core crystal he just got, and then loaded 10 bullets. The system said, the higher the level of the core crystal, the higher the firing speed and power. The Scarlet Flame Wolf King will definitely have a hard time dodging. Ding! The host has successfully activated the 8x scope enhancement mode. 5 contribution points have been consumed. Ding! Sect contribution points, 425-1000. System, Jun Changshao aimed the crosshair at the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's head. He secretly said, if I don't kill you today, how can I survive in the immortal world? The Scarlet Flame Wolf King seemed to have smelled a strong sense of danger and hurriedly turned around to escape. Shio, but, just as it turned around, a stream photon bullet was shot at it. Unless you can fucking fly into the sky and burrow into the ground, otherwise, obediently eat a bullet for me. Chapter 180. Don't doubt the 8x scope's enhancement mode. Because as long as the target was locked, the bullet would definitely hit the target. The Crimson Fire Wolf King seemed to have realized that it was in danger and ran away immediately. However, it couldn't escape at all. Whoosh! The silent bullet burst out, passing through trees and leaves. The Crimson Fire Wolf King's senses were very strong. It had already caught the bullet, but despair appeared in its eyes because it couldn't dodge it at all. Bang! In the end, the bullet seemed to have grown eyes and hit its head. The strong impact directly shattered its skull. Kaboom! The Crimson Fire Wolf King's huge body fell to the ground. Its red eyes gradually dimmed, showing disbelief. It clearly smelled danger. It clearly saw the trajectory of the light. Why couldn't it dodge it? Fancy movement? Super awareness? Sorry, in front of the gods, it was just an ant after all. After the Crimson Fire Wolf King died, waves of sorrowful wolf howls sounded in the forest. Streaks of red light rushed over. Ta-ta-ta. After a while, more than 200 Crimson Fire Wolves appeared in front of the Iron-Bone disciples. Their eyes were shining fiercely. Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. Killing the Crimson Fire Wolf King actually attracted so many Crimson Fire Wolves at once. Nonsense. After killing their boss, they would definitely fight to the death with you. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a Crimson Fire Wolf that was accumulating power was covered in flames. It seemed to be burning spontaneously. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. More Crimson Fire Wolves were burning. In the field of vision, there seemed to be dozens of crazy and scorching flames. The scene was spectacular. Li Qingyang said solemnly, "They're going to attack." Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, a Crimson Fire Wolf opened its mouth and spat out flames. It turned into a light beam and rushed over. Everywhere it passed, the branches and leaves were instantly burned to ashes. Ta! Xiao Ziji stepped on the ground with one foot and placed the shield in front of him, forming an absolute defense. Boom! When the explosive flame energy landed on the sturdy shield, the power it generated was at least 17,000. A rank 7 red flame wolf was even stronger than the Long Saber faction's faction leader after unleashing the power of fire. However, in front of Xiao Ziji, who had an extremely strong physical body, even if his strength exceeded 20,000, he would still be able to resist and remain as steady as Mount Tai. One could do it, but what about 2 or 3? Who? The other 2 red flame wolves spat out flames at the same time. Their target was still Xiao Ziji. Boom! Boom! 2 beams of fire once again smashed into the iron shield. In addition to the previous energy, it formed a force of 50,000 genes, instantly causing Xiao Ziji's shield-wielding arm to tremble. Furthermore, under the continuous bombardment of the flame beam, the surface of the iron shield gradually turned red. Didn't they not conduct heat? The fireball was aimed at the earth flame wolf, and it was extinguished with a bang. In the face of this kind of continuous burning, it could only be said that the heat conduction was slow, not that it could completely isolate the heat. From the looks of it, Xiao Ziji could still hold on. However, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long because the inside of the shield was already starting to heat up. If he continued to be burned, he would definitely be scalded. Hoo! Another 3 beams of fire shot towards him. Xiao Ziji's expression changed slightly. In addition to these 3 beams, the strength would definitely exceed 100,000 genes. He wanted to try and see if he could hold on. However, under the continuous burning, the shield would definitely not be able to hold on. Without any hesitation, Xiao Ziji communicated with the shield crystal core in his mind. Buzz! In an instant, the surface of the iron shield flashed and a defensive barrier similar to an array appeared. Bang! 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 3 beams of fire blasted directly on it. There were a total of 6 beams of fire, and the strength soared to 100,000 genes. However, under the powerful impact, Xiao Ziji, who was standing behind the defensive barrier, did not move an inch. The defensive function of the iron shield was activated, making him very relaxed. As the barrier blocked the flames outside, the surface of the iron shield that was originally reddish gradually turned black. However, under the continuous attack of the flame, the energy of the crystal core in the shield was also decreasing. At this level of strength, he could hold on for about 10 minutes. Hoo! More red flame wolves shot out beams of fire from the left and right. Li Yuhua strode over and stood on the right side of Xiao Ziji, activating the defensive function of the iron shield to form a defensive barrier in front of him. Li Qingyang also stood on the left side and set up a defensive barrier. The 3 of them lined up in a triangular formation and successfully blocked all the beams of fire from 3 directions. The defensive function of the iron shield was vividly displayed at this moment. However, there were too many red flame wolves. If all of them launched this kind of fire attack, the situation would be very troublesome. Xiao Mu, Xiao Fei. Jun Changxiao said, "Charge out." He also realized that he couldn't fight a protracted battle with the wolves, or else he would only be in a passive position. Shua! Shua! Su Xiaoma and Li Fei, 2 disciples with excellent footwork, jumped up and rushed out. The target of the red flame wolves was Xiao Ziji and the rest. Suddenly, they saw a human jumping out and directly shot out beams of fire. Hoo! More than 10 beams of fire shot out from the ground into the air. Unfortunately, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were nimble and agile, and they easily dodged them. After landing, they used ghostly leap to run left and right. More than 20 red flame wolves opened their mouths to shoot fire, but they couldn't catch up with the speed of the 2. Come on! Su Xiaoma taunted as she ran, "Come and hit me." The red flame wolves that were ready to attack were enraged. They locked their gazes on him and started to attack. Hoo! More than 10 beams of fire shot out from different directions. What the fuck? Su Xiaoma was so scared that he ran at full speed and dodged left and right in the rain of fire. On the other side, Li Fei took advantage of the time when his senior brother attracted the aggro and suddenly stopped. He raised his golden right leg and kicked a ball. However, there was no ball. Whine! Whine! At this moment, the space shook, and fist-sized rocks appeared. Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. Pang pang pang. Li Fei's golden right leg shot out at least 6 times in between the falling rocks. Xiu xiu xiu. 6 stones shot out explosively under the powerful force of his feet, drawing beautiful arcs in different directions. Pang 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 pang. The 6 red flame wolves that were attacking Su Xiaoma were all hit in the head by the powerful rocks, and then they fell to the ground and died. Li Fei's leg was 20,000 pounds, and the rocks were big. Although they couldn't penetrate the head like bullets, the impact was still quite huge. Oh my god! Li Yuhua saw this and cold sweat poured down. In the previous month of training, he was taken care of by senior brother Li's golden right leg. If he had used this level of strength, he would have died long ago. I chop. I chop, I chop, chop, chop. As Su Xiaoma dodged left and right, his right palm slashed out continuously. Crescent-shaped streams of light hit the red flame wolves and sent them flying. The appearance of the two attracted all the attention of the wolves. Jun Changshao thought that this was a good opportunity and ordered, Xing Chen, kill all the fire-breathing wolves. Chapter 181. Su Xiaoma's taunts and Li Fei's powerful attacks attracted all the red flame wolves. They gathered their flames continuously, preparing to launch a more violent attack. This was a good opportunity to attack. Swoosh! Yi Xingchen jumped out and landed in front of Xiao Ziji. He walked towards the red flame wolves, one hand on the hilt of his sword. His narrow eyes shone with coldness. Senior brother Yi was going to attack again. The outer sanctum disciples looked at him with admiration. 30 moves in one breath to kill the mountainback bear of middle second stage. They were shocked. This time, they wanted to see that superb swordsmanship with their own eyes. Zhou Hong looked over as well. Yi Xingchen stopped in front of the crowd, and he was only a dozen meters away from the dozens of crimson flame wolves. Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were too aggressive. They ignored the Night Emperor, who was standing 10 meters away. Are they treating me like air? Yi Xingchen, who had a strong ego, looked colder. He moved his wrist and unsheathed his sword. The sound of the sword being unsheathed was heard. The red flame wolves that were attacking Su Xiaomu and Li Fei looked over. There was a human. Kill him. Just as the red flame wolves were about to turn their heads, Yi Xingchen used the one-word speed technique. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In an instant, all 30 swords were slashed out, forming 30 unparalleled streams of sword chi that shot out explosively. Whoosh, whoosh. The sword auras stirred, and a cold wind blew. Yi Xingchen, who was holding a sword, had his black hair blown away, revealing a cold face. He was as pretentious as he could be. 30 sword auras bloomed like a flower. The Iron Bone disciples looked at Yi Xingchen with admiration. They almost cheered on the spot. When they saw Yi Xingchen slashing 30 times in one breath, the desire to learn the Ling Jian godly technique grew stronger. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 30 sword auras shot out close to the ground, locking onto the 30 red flame wolves. One-word speed technique. It could only be described in one word: fast. The red flame wolves that wanted to turn their heads and spit at Yi Xingchen did not even have time to turn their heads. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sword auras spread and disappeared in the air. The 30 crimson flame wolves turned their heads, and the flames that had gathered in their mouths were suddenly extinguished. Their crimson eyes also gradually dimmed. Clang! Han Feng's sword. Plop! Plop! Cracks appeared on the bodies of the 30 red flame wolves before they were separated into 2 halves and fell to the ground. Blood and internal organs flowed out. Swoosh! Swoosh! Strong! Too strong! Swoosh! 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 The swoosh! 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 Of them. Swoosh! 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 Our brother Chen is a man of few words. Swoosh! 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 On the other side, Su Xiaomo was swoosh! 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 Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. Li Fei was also constantly taking out stones of the right size from his spatial ring and shooting them out like crazy. Swoosh! 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 The red flame wolves were like cavalries on the battlefield. Swoosh! 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 Jun Changshao shouted. Swoosh! Swoosh! Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Li Yuhua removed the defensive barrier. Swoosh! The other disciples also put away their iron shields. Swoosh! 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 At the exit of the tunnel, more than 30 loose practitioners had retreated. They had not left. Instead, they were waiting for the Iron Bone disciples. Some of them were thinking that they had to get their money back. After all, they had not picked up anything. Giving the Iron Bone disciples 1,000 taels was a huge loss. Sorry. It was impossible for them to take the money back when it was in Jun Changxiao's pocket. Strange. Someone said, why hasn't the Iron Bone disciples come out yet? Could it be that they have been surrounded? With their strength, it should be easy for them to escape. There are so many of them. If they are slow, they will definitely be unlucky. After waiting for a while, they still did not see the Iron Bone disciples. They were certain that the Iron Bone disciples had been surrounded by the red flame wolves. Even the most common red flame wolf is not weaker than the ground fire wolf king. There were at least 70 or 80 of them just now. Once the Iron Bone disciples are surrounded, they will definitely die. Not to mention an 8th-rate sect, even Alliance Master Qin's disciples would be in trouble. If we knew this would happen, we would not have given him 1,000 taels. Now that he has died in the wolf pack, his corpse will definitely be taken away. We will not be able to find it. Everyone was devastated. They did not care about the Iron Bone disciples, but they cared about their money. We can wait for a while. After the red flame wolves have retreated, we can go and take a look. Maybe we can pick up something. Although the Iron Bone disciples are unable to fight against this wolf pack, they might be able to kill a few before they die. The red flame wolf's fur is extremely warm. They can be sold for a good price in the market. Not bad, not bad. Everyone did not leave the valley. They waited quietly. After all, they had already given the money. If they did not pick up anything, it would be a huge loss. Soon, an hour passed. Someone said, I think it's done. Let's go in and take a look. Don't rush, don't rush. A martial artist said cautiously, "Let's wait for another hour." Everyone waited for another hour, and then carefully walked along the tunnel. When they reached the end, they did not enter the valley immediately. Instead, they pricked up their ears and listened carefully to see if there were any wolf howls. There was no sound. The wind that blew carried a sense of coolness. Everyone immediately determined that the red flame wolves had retreated. If they were still there, the wind that blew would definitely be a heat wave. The rogue martial artists gathered their courage and walked out of the tunnel. When they were in Death Valley again, they looked at the place where the Iron Bone disciples were. Their expressions froze. That area. More than 200 red flame wolves were lying on the ground. They were either cut in half at the waist or had their heads caved in. They died in all kinds of ways. More than 20 Iron Bone disciples who were covered in blood sat on the corpses. Some were shaking their arms, and some were using their fur to wipe off the blood stains on their swords. So many red flame wolves were lying dead all over the ground. The scene was extremely shocking. None of the 25 Iron Bone disciples died. They were not even injured. It was equally shocking. The rogue martial artists' eyes gradually widened. Their hearts were in turmoil. Whoosh! At this moment, the Iron Bone disciples turned their heads and grinned. Because their faces were covered in wolf blood, coupled with that strange smile, they suddenly felt like demons from hell. Thump! 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 The rogue martial artists were so frightened that they took a few steps back. A chill ran from the soles of their feet to their spines. Everyone. Jun Changshao pulled the Red Flame Wolf King's corpse over and stepped on it with one foot. He smiled and said, "You have just left Death Valley, which means you have lost your qualifications. You still want to follow behind Iron Bone to pick up scraps. Please continue to pay 1,000 taels." Chapter 182. More than 200 red flame wolves, some of their heads were chopped off, some of their bodies were cut in half at the waist. Fresh blood stained the ground, the scene was like a slaughterhouse. The Iron Bone disciples sitting on the corpses turned around and smiled at them, revealing their white teeth, like a butcher in a slaughterhouse. No, they looked more like demons from hell. The scene in front of them shocked the loose cultivators so much that they retreated. Their spines were cold and their scalps were about to explode. As martial cultivators, why were they so scared? If the corpses were normal cows and sheep, they would definitely be indifferent. However, the corpses were all lower 7th grade red flame wolves, each comparable to a 7th grade martial disciple. Moreover, the pack of red flame wolves was completely annihilated. More than 20 Iron Bone disciples annihilated a pack of lower 7th grade red flame wolves. Just this point alone was terrifying enough to frighten them. Especially when they saw Jun Changshao pull out the Red Flame Wolf King's corpse from the forest, the shock in their hearts was even more intense. Was this a dream? Looking at their dumbfounded expressions, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Didn't you hear what I said just now?" "What did he say?" "If you want to continue picking up scraps, pay another 1,000 taels." "I'll pay." A martial artist hurriedly took out some silver taels. He thought that the Iron Bone disciples would be annihilated, but in the end, it was the pack of red flame wolves that was annihilated. Being smart, he instantly realized that these people were very powerful. If he followed behind and picked up scraps, he would definitely gain a lot. The others also thought about it and rushed to hand over the silver taels. There were so many red flame wolf corpses, any few skins could be sold for a good price. More importantly, if they followed the Iron Bone disciples deeper and picked up some ores and herbs that they did not want or missed, they would definitely make a fortune. Just like that. Jun Changshao earned another 30,000 taels. After paying, the loose cultivators stared at the red flame wolf corpses with burning eyes, ready to skin and take out the bones. Disciples, listen up. Jun Chang said with a smile, take the crystal cores, wolf skins, bones, anything that's valuable. Ah! Hearing this, the 30 loose cultivators were all dumbfounded. Swoosh! Swoosh! The iron bone disciples began to move. In a short time, the corpses of 200 red flame wolves were skinned and their bones removed, leaving only a pile of wolf meat. This thing could also be sold for money. However, it was just that the meat quality was better than ordinary beef and mutton, so the price would not be too high. The storage capacity of the spatial ring was limited, so he would just let them have it. Everyone. Jun Changshao pointed at the wolf meat on the ground and said, it's boring to drink soup, let's eat some meat. As he spoke, he led his disciples forward. Whoo! A cold wind blew, causing the 30-odd rogue cultivators to feel a chill. Spending 2,000 in a row just to pick up meat from behind iron bone was definitely a losing proposition. Sect Master, isn't it a little too cruel to leave wolf meat for them? Li Qingyang, who was walking on the road, whispered. Jun Changshao said, you want to follow behind and loot the crates? How can there be such a good thing in the world? At first, he didn't care about the wolf's fur. After all, even if he could sell it for money, it would only be a small amount. However, after killing the black-skinned leopard, he saw that the rogue cultivators were very eager to snatch it. He thought, a few dozen ferocious beast skins might not be a lot, but what about a few hundred or a few thousand? Furthermore, Death Valley definitely did not lack ferocious beast skins. The silver he had obtained from the Grand Chi sect and the AI family head was almost 20 million. However, Jun Changshao did not think that he was very rich, so as long as there was an opportunity to earn money, he must not miss it. After thinking it through, he wished that he could go to the rogue cultivators with a black face and ask for the fur and bones just now. However, this would definitely lose the demeanor of a sect master. So conflicted, what should I do? Forget it, let them pay 1,000 taels. After paying the money, they would make up for their losses. If they wanted to pick up the leftovers, they would have to pick up the beast meat that they didn't want. It turned out that when this guy said that they could pick up the leftovers after paying the money, he was actually changing the method to make up for the loss of the fur. Including the black-skinned leopard's fur, the total value was less than 1,000 taels. 1,000 taels per person, this loss was too much to make up for. Then, the sudden appearance of the red flame wolves scared the rogue cultivators away. When they came back, well, then he had to seize the opportunity to earn a few tens of thousands of taels. This sect master was a bit stingy. Stingy was definitely the right thing to do. They did not know each other, so why should he risk his life to open the path in front while they picked up the leftovers? Moreover, even if there were no leftovers to pick up, at least with them in front, they could come in safely. Even 2,000 taels would be a loss. They continued forward. After walking for a few hundred meters, they did not encounter any attacks from ferocious beasts, but they saw a lot of medicinal herbs. Because they grew at the entrance, their quality was very low. However, Jun Changshao still ordered them to pick up all of them, truly sweeping them clean. Sect Master Jun. A cultivator following behind broke down and said, such low-grade medicinal herbs are not worth much. Are you taking them all? Jun Changshao said, since you are here to pick up leftovers, you should be prepared to pick up leftovers. Everyone fell silent. It seemed that it was not easy to pick up leftovers. At this moment, Xiao Ziji, who was opening the path in front, stopped. Then, he crouched down and pressed his ear to the ground to feel the vibration frequency. He frowned and said, there is a big guy coming. This was a skill that he had learned on his own with Yi Xingchen in the wilderness. When he used it today, it seemed very professional. However, Su Xiaomao walked over and pointed to the front. The corner of his mouth twitched and said, Junior brother Xiao, you can see it with your eyes. Xiao Zuiji raised his head to look. He saw that in the depths of the forest within sight, a big black shadow gradually appeared. The stones and branches on the ground trembled slightly. This was so awkward. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening roar was heard. The trees in the shadow were cut in half. A brown-haired ape beast walked out with its chest drooping. Its height was comparable to the Earth Mountain bear just now. Li Qingyang said in a low voice, "Middle rank 5 Great Ape." Great Ape? Jun Changshao was delighted. The epic mission required him to kill 4 types of ferocious beasts, and the Great Ape was one of them. They had just entered Death Valley and they had already encountered the mission target. It was easier than he had imagined. Roar! The Great Ape roared again, blowing a small tree next to it until it was bare. The loose practitioners following behind hurriedly retreated, but they did not leave the valley directly. Since the red flame wolves had been eliminated, they had a lot more confidence in Iron Bone. Qingyang, Zueji, Xiaomo. Jun Changshao said, "I'll leave this big guy to you." "Yes, I'll do it." Lu Qianqian rushed over with a mysterious footwork. Her jade-like hand gently waved in the air, and cold spiritual energy spread out. Wherever it passed, layers of thin ice seemed to form. Ice element. Yi Xingqian was astonished. The loose practitioners behind also widened their eyes when they saw the Iron Bone female disciple forming a frost-like cold air with a wave of her hand. There were thousands of elements in the falling star continent, but martial artists who could condense ice element spiritual energy were few and far between. According to the statistics of the relevant departments, the proportion of martial artists with ice element spiritual energy was about the same as 1 in 10,000 sword cultivators. TSK. Jun Changshao said, "No wonder it's so cold all day. It turns out that it's a rather rare ice element martial artist." Lu Qianqian, who seemed to be otherworldly, leaped into the air. Her jade-like hand crossed, she coldly shouted, "Cold ice spike." Huff huff. The cold air behind her solidified, instantly condensing into crystal-clear icicles, and then directly blasted over. Everyone opened their mouths. The condensed icicles were like a broken mountain peak, as if an invisible hand was smashing over. The scene was quite shocking. Pucci. The great gorilla ape didn't even have time to raise its arm before the icicle, which was as sharp as a sword, struck its chest and pierced through its body. The crystal-clear icicles appeared on its back, also stained with blood. Hiss. Everyone gasped. Chapter 183. No one would have thought that Lu Qianqian was an ice martial cultivator. No one would have thought that the ice all she condensed would be able to directly stab a middle 5th rank great ape to death. Drip, drip. Drops of blood from the ice all splattered on the ground, clearly audible. The 30-odd loose cultivators firmly believed that this was not a dream, this was real. That Iron Bone female disciple killed a great ape with an ice martial technique. At that moment, they finally understood why Iron Bone could completely exterminate the Scarlet Flame Wolves. Just by relying on this fairy-like female disciple, even if there were hundreds more, it would not be enough for them to kill. In fact, Lu Qianqian did not even make a move to exterminate the pack of Scarlet Flame Wolves. Her clothes were not even stained with blood. The ones who made a move were Li Qingyang and the others. Wow! Ling Yuanxue said in admiration, "Eldest senior sister is so powerful." Yi Xingqian secretly evaluated, "This woman cannot be underestimated." Li Qingyang and the others were all amazed. As expected of our Iron Bone clan's eldest senior sister, her valiant life needs no explanation. Possessing ice psionic energy, condensing ice martial techniques, and directly killing a great ape that was comparable to a 5th-rank martial master. Lu Qianqian's display of strength not only shocked the 30-odd loose cultivators, it also shocked the Iron Bone disciples. Jun Changshao was very calm. He was surprised that his eldest disciple was an ice martial cultivator, but killing a middle 5th rank beast was not surprising. After all, she had been hiding her strength ever since she entered the sect. Ding! Great ape killed 1/10. Jun Changshao said, Zue Ji, take away the crystal core, skin, and bones. Yes. Shua. Shua. Xiao Ziji quickly and efficiently left behind a pile of ape meat. Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples forward. The loose cultivators behind them hurriedly took out their weapons and surrounded them, beginning to cut up the great ape. The meat of middle 5th rank beasts was high-quality goods, rich people would definitely like to eat it. Selling it for a few dozen taels per catty should not be a problem. Let me reiterate. It was not that Jun Changshao did not want meat, but the storage in the interspatial ring was limited. Take the spatial ring that the system gave him as an example. At most, it could only hold 3 or 4 great ape meat before it was full. The spatial rings of the disciples were all low-level, and the storage capacity was even smaller. Xiao Ziji was only storing the fur and bones of the great gorilla ape and the mountainback bear, and it was almost full. The training had just begun. There must be even more powerful vicious beasts in the depths of the valley. It would be meaningless to store meat that was far less valuable than skin and bones. The 30 or so rogue cultivators were overjoyed. This great ape's meat weighed at least 2,000 catties. Based on the price of 10 taels per catty, 50 catties of meat would be worth 500 taels. If they were to encounter more powerful beasts later on, they could just cut off their iron bone and sell it. Wouldn't they be able to earn back the 2,000 iron bone? Looking at the rogue cultivators in the back cutting up the ape meat, Jun Changshao secretly shook his head and said, if I had known earlier, I would have prepared dozens of space rings and packed all the meat. Even if I don't sell it, I can let Duda make it into a delicacy. The system asked, do you think ape meat tastes good? It's not good, Jun Changshao said. The system said, so, don't even think about the meat. Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples forward and came to a pool. He ordered them to rest and clean up the blood on their bodies. Xiao Ziji stood on a tree and set up the Type 88 sniper rifle, looking around vigilantly. Soon, everyone washed off the wolf blood on their bodies and then sat together to absorb spiritual energy to replenish the spiritual energy consumed in the battle. The rogue cultivators were dozens of meters away from them. They didn't dare to go too far, fearing that they would be attacked by vicious beasts. Drip, drip. A rogue cultivator who was resting in front of a tree felt something dripping down. He instinctively raised his hand to touch it and suddenly felt sticky. His face changed and he hurriedly looked up. Shwa! A dark green python opened its bloody mouth and rushed down from above. Ah! Screams rang out, breaking the silence. It's the blue-eyed snake. Ho Bao has been eaten. Everyone, let's kill it together. Shwa! Shwa! Although the 30 rogue cultivators were frightened, they didn't panic. They all took out their swords and slashed crazily at the blue-eyed snake that retreated to the tree. Among these people, there were a few first and second grade martial masters. Their strength was not bad, and with everyone's strength, the middle 3-grade snake beasts were directly beheaded. Unfortunately, after cutting open the snake's stomach, the rogue cultivator called Ho Bao's body rotted and he had completely lost his breath. Sigh. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. Since they entered Death Valley, it was common to be attacked by vicious beasts at any time. Ling Yuan Shui saw the corpse of the rogue cultivator from afar and hurriedly closed her eyes in fear. Listen carefully. Jun Changshao said solemnly, this is Death Valley, there will be danger at any time. You must be careful and protect yourselves. He didn't care about the life and death of the rogue cultivators. After all, they were neither relatives nor friends. But the disciples were his own flesh and blood, so he definitely didn't want to leave his life here. The disciples nodded. Shwa! Li Qingyang's cold sword flashed and cut a scorpion with the same color as the ground under Ling Yuanshue's feet into two halves. Scared me to death. Ling Yuanshue almost jumped up. Everyone's mouth twitched. Although this junior sister was timid, she was not careless at all when she used her shield to attack the ground flame wolf at the entrance of the tunnel just now. Death Valley not only had powerful vicious beasts, but also many small poisonous beasts such as centipedes and scorpions. 40% of the martial artists who entered to train were poisoned to death. This was the true horror of Death Valley. First, they had to guard against powerful vicious beasts, and second, they had to guard against poisonous and small vicious beasts. Ouch! Just as he walked to a place, Su Xiaoma sat on a mossy rock, and the back of his hand was bitten by a small ant. Because it contained poison, it immediately swelled up into a big lump. Damn it! What kind of ant bites are these? It hurts so much. After crushing the ant that bit him, Su Xiaoma took out an antidote pill, chewed it, and smeared it on the wound. The pain was immediately reduced by a lot. Before Jun Changshao came, he asked Li Luoqiu to buy the necessary items for training in the wild in advance. For example, the most commonly used antidote pill. As long as it wasn't highly toxic, it could be taken or smeared on the wound in time to solve the problem. Jun Changshao thought, does the healing pill have an antidote function? No. The system said. Jun Changshao knew it would be this answer. Because if it had an antidote function, the poison that suppressed his cultivation and spirit root when he gave it to Xiao Ziji would have been expelled long ago. Sect Master. Li Qingyang said, there are 2 tunnel entrances in front, they should lead to 2 different places. Which way should we go? Death Valley's terrain was rather complicated, like a series of gourds connected together. The area where Jun Changxiao's group was at was connected to 2 gourds, and then it continued to branch out. Look for spiders. Sect Master, spiders are everywhere. Look for small poisonous spiders. In Death Valley, one couldn't rely on fate, one had to search with a purpose. The epic quest required one to kill 500 small poisonous spiders, so Jun Changshao had to find them first. Li Qingyang said, these spiders always travel in groups in Death Valley. If we find one, we might find a large group. We still have to find them. Jun Changshao led his disciples forward, then stopped in front of a stone wall at the end of the forest. There were 2 tunnel entrances on both sides, one without wind, the other with wind. Spiders are afraid of light, so they usually weave their webs in places where light and wind pass through. After thinking for a while, he pointed at the tunnel with wind and said, go there. Sect Master Jun. Just as he was about to move, a lone cultivator behind him said, the place you're going to is a poisonous spider nest, there are countless poisonous spiders inside. Jun Changshao smiled, if that's the case, I'll have to go in. Saying so, he led his disciples into the tunnel. The lone cultivator's mouths twitched. Poisonous spiders are disgusting creatures. Besides their silk, everything else on them is worthless. Why does Iron Bone want to go in? Isn't he afraid of poking a hornet's nest and getting attacked by tens of thousands of poisonous spiders? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.